unearthing? Apologies. I must say my Stream Deck certainly did not work for me. Let me introduce myself again, folks. Welcome to the Australian Invitational. It's great to be back here alongside Adam Tom Sanderson. And we are here for event 3 of this fantastic series. Big thank you for the heads up as well, Slam. I really appreciate it. Looking ahead, folks, we're going to be bringing you some of the best drivers to ever grace Australian racing, certainly on the F1 game, and also bringing you action around the Grand Circuit of Interlagos, where, of course, we've seen many drivers and real racers don that circuit. Of course, was graced as one of the final events on the F1 calendar, has now since played a vital role leading up to the final race in Abu Dhabi. It is now the final race here at the Oceania F1 Invitational. Great to have you all here with us. Tom, it's great to have you here with me as well, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hello again, George, and well, hello to everyone at home viewing. And well, it's great to be watching 20 of the best Oceania has to offer one last time on F1 22.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. I can't wait. And yes, I've just reaffirmed my apologies, folks. The mics certainly did not unmute when I hit the button on the Stream Deck, despite lots of testing prior. Unbelievable. But yeah, nonetheless, we're looking forward to this one, folks. We've got a great lineup for you as well. Coming off the back of the first 2 races, of course, plenty of action, Tom. Certainly looked like Ryan Bell was setting the trend, almost one of the pacey characters out on the grid. He's not here tonight, though. Big change of pace. He won the first event at Silverstone. Yeah, he's not here. And, of course, one of his great rivals, Jack Humphreys, who has, of course, appeared. He will be appearing tonight in the Red Bull. Great chance for him to take the title, but I think it's opened up a lot more.
Yeah, and we got a whole lot of new names this time, so it's going to be great. But, yeah, it's so unfortunate for Ryan Bell to be laid out today, unfortunately, just with a medical thing. So, wish him a speedy recovery, but I'm sure Jack will take full advantage this evening. Who can challenge, though? That's the most interesting question, George, going in to this full qualifying, then 36 laps at Interlagos.
Yeah, absolutely. Plenty of names, certainly, to add to the list. And certainly as well, in terms of the actual team standings, top of the tree at the moment, OSRL currently holding on to the top-end spot with 97 points to their name. Quite an affluent amount between them and Aussie Formula Racing, obviously, who are currently sat in behind. They'll need a big performance if they want to at least get close to that sort of number towards the end of this. So OSRL, I would say the definite favourites coming into this final race.
Yeah, absolutely. But unlike the first 2 events where it's been 2 drivers from each league, this is more of an individual event, George. So although the drivers may represent or drive in certain leagues, it's more of an individual event tonight. So I think the drivers are going to leave it all out on the table just for themselves tonight. No teamwork involved. And I think that's why we see different people in different teams. And we were commenting earlier that, even some people in the same esports teams aren't driving in the same cars tonight. So it's going to be all-out warfare here in Brazil.
I think it certainly will be. It's going to be very, very close. Obviously, plenty of drama to be had as well. A full qualifying system to bring you as well, folks. Not to mention lots of drama. We'll just give you a bit of a look at the event itself. This, of course, being event 3, and we'll be bringing it to you around this grandiose circuit at Brazil as well. Of course, the scene of where Lewis Hamilton will go on to take his very first championship after that very dramatic season against the Brazilian Felipe Massa as well. And ever since then, he has glossed a fabulous career. We've seen many great races, of course, at Brazil. Of course, Max Verstappen delivering one of the biggest clinics in the rain that we have ever seen as well since that era too. And now it's going to play host to the Oceania F1 Invitational Event 3. And we're going to look forward to seeing who comes out on top in that eventuality. Just muted my mics again, incredible, so it must be on opposite. But yeah, just talking about the Brazil track, obviously looking ahead, broke ground back in 1938, capacity of 60,000 people. Plays host to many great races, has done, of course, since the early 1900s, but I would say definitely still a modern classic, Tom.
Absolutely, as we were discussing before going live, it's just a classic and it belongs on the F1 calendar until F1 burns into the ground when Bernie Ecclestone reconsumes control of the competition. But yeah, as it just hosts so many sports car racing apart from F1, and all the drivers love to come here, and I know the drivers are certainly excited to get cracking. And I think their wait's almost over, George. I reckon this little bit of delay has got them a little bit anxious going into Q1 though.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's going to be some nerves, some sweat on the brow, I think, Tom, going forward as well. We want to hear from you as well, folks. Let us know who you think is going to take charge, certainly in this event. Who do you think is going to take victory? Have you got any tips for us, Tom? Is there anyone that you think that could take the big numbers tonight? Do you think you can predict our winner?
I think it would be extremely difficult to put a name or a finger on one name going into it without any context. But I'm going to have to go for my old friend, rival, teammate, Oscar King in the Mercedes. He's just taken Jack Humphries to a season-wide championship decider just in the previous week. So those two are hot off each other's tails, and they were all season. So excited to see what those two deliver tonight.
Yeah, obviously looking to bounce back after a tricky run at Kota, but he did perform well at Silverstone, to say the least, coming home in P5 in that particular event. So looking forward to perhaps getting a bigger and better result when we head into Brazil later on. But of course, as well, he's going to be teamed up with another, I think, piece of character, Ryan Cox, as well, alongside him. Heading into this one, so we'll look forward to seeing whether he can take the advantage. I can confirm, folks, that the timer has ticked down. We are now down to 0. We are about to head across to Brazil to enter Q1. And obviously, as time-honoured tradition, we've, of course, seen this time and time again in the world of F1 Esports, not to mention the world of league racing. The intermediate tyres, no doubt, will be making an appearance. I mean, I'm not sure whether you guys have an intermediate tyre championship, Tom. I know many other championships have.
I think if we return to full qualifying in some of the leagues over here, normally, I think that's something we need to implement, George, because that sounds like a fascinating idea to me.
Yeah, I think so, and it's great to obviously have Oceania, hosting these great events. And obviously, I want to thank as well all our favourable sponsors, of course, Macron, who have been in support of the series as well. Great to have them on board as well. And as you can hear, probably from the dulcet tones behind me, that is the grandstand of Brazil, currently being ushered in my earpiece. So we will be heading across to qualifying now, and we will be bringing you all the action as well from Interlagos, as you can now see. Just wait for it to heat up, folks. It will get there eventually, I can assure you. There we are. We are here. And as you can see, the timer already ticking down here in Q1. And plenty of cars now about to venture out onto the circuit. The first to jump, that being the Mercedes. Either that will be Ryan Cox or Oscar King, but representing ET8 as well on our list here, but making his way out onto the circuit. But this is an Aussie event. Can Oscar King do the business? Marcus as well, making his way out onto the track. He is already out on circuit, making his way around the very tricky Turn 4 section and Turn 5. Of course, the scene of where Hamilton and Verstappen would come together on the rundown to the 2021 championship. And what a tantalizer that was before we head into the very controversial Abu Dhabi. But there's Marcus out on track, looking to perform at his best. A big challenge laying out on his hands, partnering up, of course, with Reese Fisher as well. And we'll have to see whether they can pull up some big numbers as well here, Tom.
Yeah, absolutely. Reese Fisher, delighted to be here as well to represent himself in the first OFI event. So he's going to be going extremely hard tonight, but we all attention on Marcus as he's going to set the first lap on the intermediate tyres, George.
Yeah, certainly will do. We'll give you a quick run through as well, as we now see our man, of course, that being Marcus, make his way down through the Senna S's section. And we'll now peel through this next left as well before venturing down this long straight, heading down the Retta Aposta into the city of Delago, and then heading down through towards the very, very fast Turn 6, of course, before he then reaches Ferradura into the Larangina. And then heading through the very tight Turn 8 to Este corner into the Pinorino as well. Side view camera there on Marcus's car as he heads through this next section, keeping it tight. Can be very tricky, especially on these intermediate tyres. And heading through this middle sector now in Sector 2, very slowly but surely. Eventually he'll put the power down back again, head up through towards Sector 3, and very shortly around the very, very tight Junchao corner as well. Back on the throttle again. You don't want to certainly become the victim of oversteer. And then heading through the final couple of bends as well. Out of Turn 15 past Yankee Bancadas as well. He'll cross the line to set an initial lap time certainly no concerns of that being invalidated. It's a 1:11.089 just to get the ball rolling, and that's our first time on this Event 3 lineup here, Tom.
Tell you what, that's not a bad one actually, George. We're looking at 106s this evening for the dry qualifying come the pointy end. So a 1:11 on the inters, that's pretty hot stuff from Marcus to get us started.
Certainly is as well. We've got Jack Humphreys as well making his way up towards the line too. And of course, this is a man who has certainly laid himself down as one of the favourites here. Immediately goes to the top with a 1:10.902, taking the victory at Austin last time out. Was finishing in that main race classification ahead of OSRL teammate FVR Tom in that eventual race. And now makes his way down through towards turn 5. It's an incredible, certainly, contingent of drivers. Panda also out on track. He's about to come through the final sector as well to enlist his time in the Alpine. And will certainly look to do so in great style as well. Of course, none of these times will necessarily be, should we say, well, should consummate nevertheless the final times we will see at the end of Q1, but certainly with 13 minutes and 50 still to go, Panda going third fastest immediately as well. A few of the cars now donning those soft tyres, preparing for a run. I can tell you that Luke Rochford not wasting any time.
Mate.
Yeah, he is out and about. Bailey Ford to the top as well.
Yeah, here he comes in the Aston.
Yeah, making his way up towards the
Luke
line.
Rochford's going to set the first competitive lap of the session of 1:07.6 for him. So we're into the 1:07s now. And we're going to be looking for improvement throughout Q1, George, as the track starts to evolve as the soft tyres come on. And let's see who can dip into the 1:06 first.
Yeah, 3 minutes, certainly 3 minutes until the final 10 to go. But Luke Rochford setting a time that was 3 seconds faster than Bailey Ford, obviously due to the soft tyres having the better grip. Obviously intermediates you'd only generally see in a wet weather context. Luke Rochford, the only car out on track, though, that has enlisted a time under the soft tyre conglomerate. We've got plenty of cars that have yet to set times at all, not sort of a split really between one half of the grid to the other. Obviously not everyone content with setting a lap on intermediate tyres. G-Force also making his way out onto the track. Very late on for Inters, don't you think, Tom?
I think so, but you can get 2 full runs in with 8 minutes around this extremely short lap time of Interlagos. So not the worry, so he should be able to get back in with maybe about 9 minutes left on the clock and have plenty of time to get 2 more runs in. The only sort of big news I would say is Ryan Cox. He's burnt up a set of those soft tyres already, mate, with an invalidation. I think he went for the second out lap and then invalidated the push lap. So that's already a lot of wear in a qualifying session where the gaps are going to be so close, George. New tyres versus used ones are going to be the difference come making it through to Q2 or Q3.
Yeah, they certainly will do. Obviously, Rochford now currently on top at 1:07.640. No doubt we will see that time usurped, I would say, given the fact that we will probably expect a little bit more off this soft compounded tyres. Jack Humphreys has actually listed the medium tyres on the car as well, so that's a very bold and interesting move there.
Again, I think it's just not wanting to burn up too many soft tyres early, George. You've only got a limited amount of them. And they're going to want at least 2 sets for Q3, the likes of Jack Humphreys and your Oscar Kings and your Zachary Smith to almost, you would say, pencil in for the final part of qualifying. So it's all about going about their own strategy to get there.
Yeah, certainly is as well. And of course, tyres will be a factor as well in terms of management when we head into the race later on too. Outlap as well for Jacob Palfrey. We've also got Matt Plevey out on track. G-Force has opted to remain out on intermediate tyres despite we're coming into the final 10 minutes of Q1. Generally, I would say at this stage, you've got obviously 3 runs at your disposal given the window of time we have left, but idyllically, I suppose, here at this point, Tom, you only really want to do 2 runs at this point.
Yeah, or if you can get away with 1 soft tyre use, that's the most ideal situation, but you've got to be right out there on track on new tyres at the end, because that's when the magic happens, so to speak. Because here comes a bit of magic from Jack Humphreys on the medium tyre.
Yeah, it certainly is as well. Reese Fisher now going second fastest with a 1:08.406. Matt Plevey instantly takes that time away, though. A fantastic time of 1:08.182, though. Puts himself in behind Luke Rochford, who still is the only man in the 1:07s. Let's rejoin Jack Humphreys, though. Makes his way heading out of Decidia de Lago at turn 4. Turn 5 coming up next as well. Ferradura will be next on the list. before he then makes his way through the Laryngina corners in towards turn 8 at SA as well. The Red Bull looking ever dynamic. Jack Humphreys looking to instill yet another dramatic race in his hands, obviously off the back of a trip to Austin, Texas. Taking that race win on that occasion, making 2 overtakes in the process as well. But now looking to make his way round the next left-hander as he looks to concisely move his way around Junkao and now make his way past the Anki Bancardis section as well. The grandstand's lit up on the right-hand side here, certainly for this young man who is looking to deliver a clinic here on the Oceania F1 Invitational on the medium tyres. Jack Humphreys, second fastest, but breaks into the 107.967s on a medium set of tyres, laying down a precedence. It doesn't matter if you're P1 for now, as long as you get through, and he might do it in style here.
Yeah, that's quite the lap from Jack Humphreys. Most of the time lost in the second sector there, George, where you need those soft tyres the most. So some sweltering pace in Sector 1 and Sector 3 from Jack Humphreys on the medium compound. As here comes FG Valet up towards the line. Only a time good enough for a 1:20.9. So looking to go again, I would suspect here the harsh driver. Yeah,
Ryan Cox going 5th fastest as well, a 108.347 for the Mercedes. Only 2 drivers currently sat in the 107. Superb lap there from Luke Rochford. We thought that might be closed up, but certainly not to the extent that we have seen so far. Jack Humphreys is currently sat in P2, remember, on that medium tyre lap, sensational lap as well to boot. Plenty of other cars though still yet to enlist lap time. Zachary Smith, Zachary Vlasblom as well, not to mention Jacob. Oscar King is also out on an out lap. Jacob now making his way through the final sector. He's got a little bit of a tow from the sister Red Bull here, which might prove very, very useful. Jack Humphreys giving him a helping hand here as Jacob now heads up towards the line, and he goes fastest. Well, a 107.552 and usurps that of Luke Rochford. How about that? Some Red Bull inter-team play, Tom.
Yeah, absolutely great teamwork from the pair of them there. But only going a 10 faster than Luke Rochford. So what I kind of snared at initially as being a time that would be dismissed quite easily, it's standing quite strong there at the top of the table. Well, now in P2, Luke Rochford, and well, that beds him well in my mind for what we're about to come in the final 7.5 minutes of this Q1 session. But if anything is going to happen, it will happen here in the Oceania F1 Invitation.
Yeah, it certainly will do. I tell you what, the action coming in are plenty of cars out on flying laps. Jack Humphreys still there in P3. Panda is there as well, but Ferrari Pro going second fastest as well. The time is coming down now, and what was a quick lap, obviously set by Luke Rochford, a 107.640 has quickly been usurped, and Ferrari Pro now going second fastest. Jacob now making his way around the final parts of the circuit before becking his way into the pit lane. Panda currently 5th fastest as well. Plenty of other cars though who are now, we've got to look to the bottom of course with the timer ticking down. The bottom 5, Potsy, who's currently sat in 16th, obviously looking to try and improve on where he's currently sat at 112, obviously sat on intermediate tyres. Potsy though goes across the line, isn't able to push onwards or upwards, still remains in 17th. A few other names flicking upwards. Riley now in 16th. T-Mac right on the bubble in P15 as well with a 111.179, but is yet to enlist a soft tyre time, should we say. Marcus currently sat in 15th as well, and he's on an out lap too. Bailey Ford, second fastest though, goes across the line at 107.577, and just look at that. The top 4 all within a single tenth of a second.
Absolutely. We flick now to Zachary Smith coming into Sector 2. The race champion in the F1 Esports Championship on Sunday night, doing over Ferrari Pro, who was the runner-up to him, and Ferrari Pro currently sits P3 in the qualifying. So these two are very familiar with one another, and then this is his first lap in Q1, Zachary Smith, so he's left it quite late, the latest of all, the last one to not set a lap time, as he comes down through Magulio towards Junsao now, and hits the apex nicely, using the exit curve nicely and the power on very early as he climbs up towards the finish line now, George. And all he can do is hope and wait that it gets him towards the top of the timing tower.
Yeah, absolutely right indeed. Plenty of names going to the top. Zachary Smith now going 5th fastest with a 107.663. More and more times coming through. Jack Humphreys now back out on an outlap, not content with that P11 place. It's amazing how it's all changed. Like we said before, Luke Rochford, despite holding on to all the cards at the time, it's now since all come together, and just look at it all. Nearly every driver, in fact every driver in the top 10, make that top 11, all within 107 to make that top 12 now, as Marcus is now up into P7. Fantastic run certainly by everyone at the top end. We've got plenty of other drivers out looking to chase it though. G-Force also trying to find his way through, and he's enlisted 3 laps on these soft tyres, not finding certainly any momentum at this point, and beckons his way into the pit lane. We've got Reese Fisher as well, who's also coming into the pits as well, so plenty of drivers having to reassess at this point. But Jack Humphreys about to get set on one final lap. We have still got 4 minutes and 20. He will have another chance after this, but you would imagine he will only want to and only need to set one final lap at this point.
Absolutely, as he makes his way around the curve of the Sol now, George, on this first soft tyre lap for himself. Comes down the Skidoo de Largo. Nicely glancing the apex there. And, well, we saw his pace through Sector 2 on the medium tyre. It's time to see it on the soft compound tyre as he comes up through this double right-handed apex corner, and followed quickly by the right-handed turn 8. And now, round the infield we come at Interlagos. Such history beckons these corners. And this is looking like a very good lap time for Jack Humphreys as he comes down towards the final proper corner, which requires any thought in the dry conditions. And, well, he is up on his previous best. Is it going to be enough to dislodge his Red Bull teammate at the top of the timing tower as he comes across the line and sets a 1:07.278, George, and he goes 3/10 faster than the lot.
Yeah, he was setting a blistering final sector as well, 6/10 faster coming into the final sector, and ahead of Jacob he goes, a 1:07.278, untouchable Jack Humphreys. Sensational, following up what has been a perfect display in the second event. Of course, he is a ruthless character when it comes to driving behind the wheel. Didn't have the easiest of times, of course, racing at Silverstone in the first event, but has now returned here, this time to Brazil, and once again showing what he is capable of, this time on the soft tyres as opposed to the mediums that he set his previous banker on. And I'd say that's going to be pretty clear and cut, very tough to beat at this point.
I don't think they're going to be looking to try and beat that now, George. It's for a little bit later on. You save your best 4. It's all about not being in the bottom 5, which is where Zachary Vlasblom, Ryan Cox, Leo, Jacob Palfrey and FG Valet find themselves at this present point in time with 2 minutes left on the clock.
Yeah, Ryan Cox currently sat at the last from bottom. Of course, you can just see there, obviously currently sat out on a fast lap, but of course we're into the final 2 minutes, so as the timer ticks down, his time is running out, and he is actually saving the battery. You can just see the flashing on the rear of the car. That, of course, meaning that he's not on a fast run. He is, of course, getting himself set perhaps to go again here at this point. Of course, with 1:30, this will essentially, you'd imagine, be next to near his last chance to dance. So it's all on Ryan Cox here. Zachary Vlasblom has already got started and set off on his fast run as well. Let's keep our eyes peeled on him too as he makes his way up towards the line. I think actually Ryan Cox is going to beat him to it. He's going to be the first around. So we've got both Cox and Vlasblom making his way around too.
Panda comes around the final corner in the Alpine, currently sits P14, so he's right on the bubble. He is about 4/10 up though on his previous best though, which is going to put him right up there with the mid-107s as he crosses the line now and moves only up into 12th place. Lost some time in that final sector, and how that could be costly because 1/10 would have found him 5, 6, 7 spots almost. Yeah,
P12 certainly not safe in terms of what we're going to be seeing later on. I'd imagine there's plenty of drivers at the bottom end that are looking to enlist better lap times.
Backwards, we have a half of FG Valet. Looks to get re-going. Here comes an Alpine. And gets away with it, but that's disqualifying over George. FG Valet will be out.
Yeah, he certainly will be, and right on the cusp of getting through, but certainly not close enough. And this will certainly put him in a position where He's at the point of no return. You can certainly imagine that. But Ryan Cox, who's now making his way up towards the line as well, looking to get himself out off the bottom, does so. Goes spit fastest as well. We got Zachary Vlasblom as well, who's going to be looking to do exactly the same. And he does as well, I think. Just barely 16th fastest for Zachary Vlasblom. Reese Fisher just in front of him, obviously. Jacob Palfrey's out as well. And we've got L30, of course, that belonging to nonetheless, I think if I look on my list, Leo Duncan, who's currently sat at the very bottom. We saw him struggling earlier on. Looks like he might be struggling again as well. 3 seconds off in that time. This, of course, might not be enough. And surely I can't imagine it being enough, though, for safety. The timer is at 0, folks. Here he comes into the pits. So confirming that he is, of course, out of the session. Valet is also out as well. We saw him spinning earlier on. He's 18th fastest. Matt Plevy as well.
George.
Yeah, Plevy's coming, heading around Junchao. Archiban Carlos on the right. Has he got enough in the locker to secure safety here at the end of Q1? Of course, this is for Q2. Up towards the line, 15th fastest. He's only gone and done it. It's Plevy who's now in the top 15.
And at the expense of Reese Fisher, Plevy makes it through on a 1:07.871, George. So there was the cut-off time for Q1. Reese Fisher just a 10th back. Yet so close, yet so far. And well, the whole field covered by 1 second there in that qualifying session to get us started.
Incredible. There are your times, folks, confirmed here at the end of Q1. Incredible stuff. It is Jack Humphreys who goes fastest here in this first session. Of course, F1 Ferrari Pro in behind. But let's go and check out the all-important drivers that have unfortunately dropped out of the session. We have lost Reese Fisher, Zachary Vlasblom, as well as Valet as well, Jacob Palfrey, and also Leo Duncan right at the very bottom as well. So that's 2 Hasses out, and AlphaTauri, McLaren, Anna Williams as we head into Q1. But plenty of drama, shall we say there, Tom. It certainly did seem to be very dramatic, got very tight towards the end. How about that clutch lap, though, from Matt Plevy to save his bacon heading in towards the second qualifying session? That'll certainly give him a huge boost of confidence.
Yeah, absolutely. Pulled it out when he needed it. As well as Ryan Cox, mate. He was sitting in P20 with less than a minute on the clock, and then, well, he's found himself in 5th at the end of the session. So, delivering under pressure, some of these drivers. But guess what? It all resets once again, George, as we have 15 minutes on the climber. And what do they say? Ready, steady, cook. Let's go.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, let's just talk as well about Jack Humphreys. Business as usual, do you think?
Oh, he's a class act, Jack Humphreys. He's come a long way since he entered the league racing scene, or ever since I've seen him on the F1 league racing scene. And, well, he's definitely matured. Got much more of a level head now, and I don't think he'll be feeling the pressure, at least at this point, George. It'll be all calm and collected for him.
Not at all. And we're going to head across now for Q2, as you alluded to. Obviously here, brought to you by our people at Macron as well. And as you can see now, the drivers making their way out onto the circuit yet again. And Panda, one of the first. And he'll now make his way out onto the circuit. Big Al already out on track himself. Of course, representing that of the Alfa Romeo contingent, that being Al Karudin. And he's the first one out as well. Currently being joined by Panda. I'm sure there'll be plenty more looking to also don the track as well. Interesting to note, though, intermediate tyres yet again making an appearance here at this time in Q2.
I thought the weather was set to dry, George, but
just
evidently
Panda.
the drivers are loving those intermediate tyres.
Well, it's only
the super soft.
It's only Panda at this stage who's actually donning it. So perhaps he just likes to do something different. I'm not sure. Maybe send a curveball. It's all mental mind games here at this point as well as we make our way to Q2. So maybe this is Panda suggesting, listen, it's going to rain in a minute, folks. Trust me, I know. But it depends on whether the other drivers want to believe him or not. Currently, the way I'm seeing things, the other 14 drivers donning the slick, soft compounder tyre. So they certainly haven't fallen for it.
No, absolutely. But I think that might just be him looking for a delta to chase, George. As you know, we were discussing earlier, the value of having a delta for some drivers is extremely important, just in terms of the mental side of things, and just not wanting to burn up any of his other slick tyres to do so.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I do suspect that some of these drivers will be out on a used soft tyre to begin the session.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't surprise me at all if they go out on some of the used compounds that they, of course, used in our first session. We have got a yellow flag in Sector 2, but plenty of cars out on their outlaps, of course, so quite a few will be looking to perhaps save the allotted battery time, not to mention conserve the tyres as well. Just give themselves the best chance at setting a reasonable banker, as we now see Big Al make his way around the next left-hander. Of course, he'll then venture past the Alki Bancardis on the right-hand side as well, open up the DRS very soon too. Now makes his way across the line and will commence a flying lap as well. Will commence his first lap, in fact, at 107.970. Sends Big Al to the top. And our first time and already into the 107s. Not wasting any time at all, Tom.
No, absolutely not. As that Alpha Tauri for that yellow flag was Marcus backwards towards the wall, but evidently no damage on the car since he's setting off around the curve of the Sol to deliver some magic.
Yeah,
his Alpha Tauri.
Yeah, he's
plenty of drivers about to cross the line.
Yeah, certainly are. Bailey Ford now going fastest with a 107.826, but Jacob comes in with a 107.580 as well. An almighty near 3/10 faster than Bailey Ford. I'll tell you what, that is a spicy time.
Big toe there from the Rebel boys again.
Yeah, again, utilising.
Setting up his lap. Big toe from Jacob to the line, and then Jacob immediately moving out of the way as Jack commences his lap. So those boys are working together. For now, we'll throw that little up asterisk there for now.
Yeah, we're getting some similar kind of Marcel Kiefer, Freddie Rasmussen vibes from last season, of course. Those two, of course, foregone at Red Bull. Obviously, Marcel moving to Mercedes for this season of F1 Esports, but last year and the year before, it was noted that the Red Bulls were working together to obviously try and deliver better lap times, but also at the same time working together on track in order to further their... Oh, Jack Humphreys just losing the rear end, heading out of Junkao, and that could very easily scupper what could have been a sensational lap. 107 to boot. Is it still going to be on the table? Comes across the line at 107.8. Despite the loss of rear end, I don't think he'll be too disappointed.
Definitely a little bit of time lost, however, though, in that final sector from that moment. There's no way he can get away with that. It's such a long, flat-out section to the finish line from that point, George. But that just means he's got pace in hand, and we know he's got pace in hand because he's done a 0.2 in the previous session. Yeah, Ryan Cox going 10th fastest as well. Plenty of other cars out on track. Zachary Smith as well. Riley goes to the top now with a 107.546. A lot of these drivers not wasting any time in terms of the deltas, already matching what we saw in Q1 already. Of course, the track would be a little bit warmer, obviously off the back of what we saw previously. But are we seeing a state of play where some drivers aren't using the used tyres and some might be donning the fresh tyres right from the get-go? Yeah, absolutely. I think if we look at the likes of Ryan Cox down there on a 108.5, we've seen him do about a 0.5 in Q1, so I would highly suspect that they're used tyres, but each driver has their individual strategy, George, this evening, and we have to see how that plays out going into the final qualifying session and into the race, because a late safety car with some fresh soft compound tyres could be the difference. Yeah, it could well be ending up on the top step or just ending up on any step on the podium. So it's all yet to play out as Zachary Smith comes across the line now and sets a 107.600, and that's good enough for P3 at the moment. So nice lap from the Aston Martin driver. Yeah, a 107.6 flat from Zachary Smith. Not bad at all, and certainly sets a precedence here at the very start of Q2. Obviously still 9 minutes still to go. Might be that some of the drivers choose to perhaps take a break for a good few minutes. Obviously they can sit in the garage for, I would say, probably around 6 to 7 minutes approximately, and then come out for one last gasp when the track is at its warmest here in this session, and then look to try and whittle that time down. I'd certainly expect the likes of Oscar King, Luke Rochford, not to mention Potsy, Matt Plevey as well, who managed to obviously save himself in the previous session. Ryan Cox, who'd fathom being a little bit closer up at the sharp end as well. T-Mac as well, as Zachary Smith makes his way around the final sector on his in-lap. Panda not wasting any time, already out on another fast run, and is now setting a pace on another set. This time a fresh set, I'd imagine, of soft tyres. Yeah, he's just done the 108.4, so that could have been used tyres. Once again, he was on the Inter earlier on, so he's just going to bring it back into the pit lane now. George, as you're saying, they have 6 minutes to kill effectively before it starts getting time critical at the end of the session. what do you do if you're the drivers in this situation? You know, do you go into the pit lane and just distract yourself, try and talk to your teammate or your engineer? Is it all business? You know, obviously everyone has their preference, but it's just about staying relaxed.
It is all about being relaxed, and this is a good point. To have a cup of tea, put your feet up. I mean, I know you're sitting in a camping chair at this moment in time. Do you think a few of the drivers could take a leaf out of your book and perhaps chill in a camping chair right now?
Yeah, I think a couple of the viewers are asking for a camping chair video or setup tour before we got going, but it's rather comfortable. Feet are up.
Fantastic stuff. I mean, I think, honestly, I just want to say a big thank you as well to all the viewers at home. By all accounts, we have broken over 100 viewers live on this broadcast here today. So a big thank you to each and every single one of you tuning in to the Oceania F1 Invitational. It's great to have every single one of you here watching some of the best that Australia and the Oceania regions have to offer here to this sensational series that we're bringing you here tonight. Great to bring Australia and Oceania to the forefront of league racing as well. So please make sure you lend the lads all your support because they deserve it. Great to have them all on board. And a big shout out to Macron as well for powering this event as well. Luke Rochford now to the top, a 107.309. No doubt that's on a fresher set of soft tyres. Plenty more starting to come out now. And I'll tell you what, Jack Humphreys also not letting sleeping dogs lie. He's already out on an outlap as Potsy goes 6th fastest.
Yes, he does. That's an absolute heater from Luke Rochford. That's extremely close to the time we saw from Jack Humphreys in the first qualifying session. So Luke Rochford comes out and delivers another lap, much unseen by us. So we'll have to make sure we get part of his lap later on. Because he looks like he's on it to compete in the first couple of rows in qualifying this evening as the man of what starts his soft tyre lap here.
Yeah, we got Jack Humphreys making his way around the Senna S's. Ferrari Pro also out on an outlap. We saw how quick he was as well. And look forward to seeing what he can enlist to. Oscar King going 5th fastest in the Mercedes as well. Just in behind that of Zachary Smith. We got Riley and Jacob up into 2nd and 3rd as well. 107.546, 580 as well for Jacob. Rochford, though, still at the very top as Bailey Ford now goes 2nd fastest with a 107.393 as well, within the same 10th of a second of Rochford's time as we start ticking down towards the, do we say, sensational last couple of seconds and minutes here in Q2. Everything on the line, a place in Q3. You need to be in the top 10. Currently, as it stands, the Mercedes beckons off to the left. I think that might have been Oscar King, actually. In fact, it was, because Ryan Cox is in the pit, so Bailey Ford doing well to avoid him. Not that it would cost him anything because, of course, just setting a fast time. But Jack Humphreys, the next man to watch, and he's gone faster again on a new set of soft tyres. Comes up towards the line, fastest of all with a 107.154. Can you stop him? Can you stop him? The Red Bull giving him wings up at the top end with just over 4.5 minutes to go.
All the wings, but no wings on the straight to go faster. And speaking of wings, it's going to be interesting to see the minute differences of aero setup, George, because some will have set up specifically for qualifying, because qualifying is extremely important in a grid this close. But you also have to be able to pass in the race, so what do you go for? And I think some drivers have made tough decisions on either end of the spectrum.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're absolutely spot on. And again, it's all about management, isn't it? We've spoken about management during the race, but also management during the qualification phases. F1 Ferrari Pro once again 4th fastest now. 2 Ferraris once again sharing the space. I tell you what, they could probably do with these 2 drivers in real life, I would say. 3rd and 4th right now together up in the sharp end. 107.393 currently for Bailey Ford, with Ferrari Pro now going into the 107.436s. Mere fragments faster than Big Al, who currently sits in 5th as well. We've got T-Mac currently out on an outlap as well. Oscar King just barely staying in. 10th is the bubble spot. And I know that Oscar King will be looking a little bit sheepishly at his current situation because Potsy is only a mere 10th of a second away from him.
Yes, he is, but he's out there to say something about it at the moment. But it certainly does appear that Ferrari... Oh, big slide there from Oscar King into Vico De Pato, and that's most certainly ruined his lap. And with 3 minutes on the clock, he'll have to reset, come into the pit lane for some new tyres to try and stay in the top 10. But going back to the Ferrari boys, it appears that they've borrowed the World Endurance Championship Ferrari strategist this evening and left the F1 strategist at home.
Yeah, of course, alluding to the incredible Le Mans victory, bringing Ferrari back to the top in World Endurance Championship categorization. They're having a sensational year, certainly so far, and really taken the challenge to Toyota at this stage, and they deserve all the plaudits as well. Now we've got Riley and Jacob, who have set out on one, no doubt, final run. Riley and Jacob now both out on fast runs in. We've got an Alpine and, of course, a Red Bull in the mix here at this point. Jack Humphries has already crossed the line and actually retired from the session. Bailey Ford doing exactly the same. So 107.154 currently the time to beat. Jack Humphries not looking to go faster than that. That is a very fine display of confidence from him. We've got Zachary Smith as well out on an outlap as well. We've got the bottom three all looking to improve and get themselves out of the bottom zone. And it'll be interesting to see who does get pushed into that elimination zone. I think we're going to be in for a banzai finish here, Tom.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're looking at least a 107.5 in terms of cut-off time for the viewers playing at home. That's where you want to be at a minimum to have some kind of secure feeling as the clock continues to click down. FDR Riley currently sitting on a 107.546. Moves to a 107.328, George, and up into third place. That's a nice lap from Riley.
Fantastic lap from Riley. Gets himself in the proximity of Luke Rochford, 20 or so thousandths slower than Luke Rochford. That's the minimal amount that's involved in between those two as well. We got Jacob, who's also out on a lap, but he's coming into the pits. Not happy at all with the time set. Ryan Cox now up towards the line too. Can he get himself off the bottom? No, an invalidation. Or should I say, just a really, really poor time. We'll look to try and recover at this point. We've got Panda as well, heading up towards line. He's improved in Sector 3. Can he find a little more now as he makes his way through? No! 12th fastest, and he might be in jeopardy. Saying that, I think he is in jeopardy, because we've only got 3/4 of a minute left. I think Panda might be saying goodbye here in Q2.
He's going to need the magic dust. Here comes Potsy up towards the finish line. Currently P13. He is up on his previous best as he exited Sector 2. Up into 5th place now on a 0.4. Nice lap there from Potsy to deliver himself into Q3 as the other Alpine comes across into the pit lane. We've got Zachary Smith currently on the bubble, George. Crossing the line now and doesn't improve. So he sits on the bubble in P10 for now.
He certainly does. Oscar King, though, right behind him, is also trying to nestle in one final lap. And with mere seconds to go, he's crossed the line. So this is a crucial lap for both. We got one from Matt Plevey as well, who's also out on track. Jacob now 10th fastest, stays there as well, retired from the session. Ryan Cox has got 8th fastest. Marcus now down to 9th. So it's now all on Zachary Smith, who I think might be in trouble here. T-Mac in 12th. Oscar King, who is on a fresh set of tyres, now looking to try and alleviate his position too. He's invalidated it. Oscar King invalidating his lap. Matt Plevey, now the only man who's currently out on a run right now, and he's currently sat 15th with a fresh set of tyres on himself too. Can the Alfa Romeo do the unthinkable? He saved himself late in Q1. He loves the drama. Can he do it in the closing stages here of Q2 as well? This would be unbelievable. He's faster again in this final sector. Matt Plevey looking to try and secure himself a place in the final session of qualifying. Up towards the line now for Plevey. Is it going to be spectacular? Comes across. No, he's out. He's relegated despite finding 3/10 near enough on the lap. It's not enough to get through, Tom.
No, Plevey not able to recreate what he created right at the end of Q1. So he is out. And big invalidation from Oscar King and Zachary Smith. I think it was at Juntao, mate, on his final push lap that he ruined it. So big mistake. They're going to prove costly. And the likes of FDR Jacob scraped through by 20,000th of a second.
Absolutely incredible stuff. Jack Humphries, though, unmistakably back at the top. An incredible run, certainly from him. And as you can see, Red Bull up at the top. Aston Martin, Luke Rochford as well, might be the man to take the task to him, as well as Riley as well, who has been absolutely sensational along with Marcus. But let's take a look at the eliminations. Zachary Smith, we say goodbye. T-Mac, Oscar King, Panda, and of course Matt Plevey, who we saw earlier on as well, unfortunately could not save himself this time despite his great efforts. But again, we're seeing a great display from some of the best, and certainly some of the greatest in Australian and Oceania racing here, Tom. Jack Humphrey showing that level of consistency. You need to be successful. Back at the top again. He just needs to do it in Q3.
Yeah, there's nothing to say he can't do it again. He hasn't been feeling the pressure at all by the looks of it this evening, George. So he's got probably 2 runs at it here in Q3. However, I think he might have enough tyres, at least a used tyre set that would be competitive, as well as 2 new sets. So we shall see what they can all accomplish in the 12 minutes. Theoretically enough for 3 attempts, full attempts.
The big question is as well, though, I mean, obviously, can they carry on that form? Obviously, the Ferrari drivers are also looking pretty racy. The F1 Ferrari Pro is looking pretty salty as well behind the wheel. We, of course, saw him get a little quick. He was in behind, of course, in Q1, I think. Just giving a few reminders to Jack Humphreys. Looked like he got a little bit closer. He might yet find himself up into the form. But I've also been very impressed with Riley as well in the Alpine. He looks like he can bring together a really decent result here. If he can dial it in here in Q3, he could be a serious danger here to Jack Humphreys.
Yeah, Riley is certainly no one to turn your head at. He is quick on his day, and he is looking quick this evening, George, or this morning over there in the motherland.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what can they deliver on this magnificent Interlagos circuit in Sao Paulo, Brazil, with all the pressure?
What can they deliver indeed? Obviously, folks, if you have enjoyed everything, please make sure you leave a follow to the channel as well, the F1 Invitational and the F1 Oceania series as well. Make sure you drop a follow to these guys as well. It would really mean a lot to them. Thank you all for your support as well, and you guys for tuning in and watching the show. We're moving across to Q3 now very shortly. Check out the socials. Stay up to date. Join the Discord. Why not? Essentially, you can be part of one of these events as well going forward as the push for Australian racing once again reaches new heights as we move into a new dawn. Let's go across now to Q3 as the action gets underway. And how about this? We can already see the F1 Ferrari Pro making his way out onto the track, but he's not alone. There's plenty of cars out, including the 2 Red Bulls. And how about this? Tied together again. Surely not some more toes being enlisted here, Tom.
You'll see no toes from me on the face cam tonight, but we've seen plenty of toes from the Red Bull boys here this evening. Jack Humphreys is the lead car at the moment. I'm sure the plan is, if Jack has some kind of problem throughout the lap, that he will give Jacob a helping hand up towards the finish line. But as he comes down through the centre very nicely in the number 21 Red Bull, his teammate in hot pursuit as we come towards the end of the Retrofossa into Disqueta de Lago. And this is looking nice once more from Jack.
Yeah, Jack Humphreys now heading through now into the middle sector, and will be looking to try and enlist an improved lap time. Of course, all fresh tyres here at this point. The drivers will only be concerned about setting faster laps. Some of them might use the used ones, of course, at the very start of this session, but naturally you'd imagine they only have one thing in mind, and that is the shootout for pole position. And speaking of which, folks, we want to hear from you in the live chat. Let us know who is going to take pole position here in this Q3 session. We want to hear from you. Litter that live chat. I want to hear your names, who you think are going to be top of the timing sheets here in Q3 now as Jack Humphreys makes his way up towards the line now. 102, 103, 104, 105, 106. Is it going to be a 107? It certainly is. A 107.676 goes to the top, but Jacob steals away that plaudit with a 107.502 as Ryan Cox goes third fastest with a 108.174. No doubt looking to go again after that one. Luke Rochford still yet to cross the line. We'll see from him as well as Riley now goes to the top with a blistering 107.308. And now Rochford now up towards the line. Is he going to enlist an improved lap time too? Up he goes, second fastest ahead of Jack Humphreys and Jacob, a 107.330. A massive 28 thousandths the difference between Riley and Rochford.
Two split by the same amount in the last session. I think they were. It was a 107.297 for F1 Ferrari Pro, the man of the hour. He is certainly on it this evening as his teammate Ford just sets off on his first lap in the session. But they're looking quick, and Jacob delivering a fast lap there from Jack Humphries. A slight surprise, I would say, George.
Yeah, F1 Ferrari Pro going to the top end in great style. I did allude to him earlier on how quick he has been throughout the sessions that we have seen as well. We've also got his Ferrari teammate Bailey Ford out on track, also on a fast run. We've got Potsy as well, also looking to set his first run in place too. Big Al, who's also looking to enlist his. He's currently in the first sector as well. Marcus on an outlap as well, but already we're seeing some sensational lap times coming into fruition. F1 Ferrari Pro delivering one, to say the least. And have a look at that gap. An incredible gap. A mere 11 thousandths between F1 Ferrari Pro and Riley in second place. Now that is sensational. The top three all within half a tenth. In fact, all within 40 thousandths.
It doesn't get much closer than that in qualifying. Doesn't matter where you look throughout the world, that is extremely close as Bailey Ford moves the goalpost further down the field of 107.154. That is a blistering lap. And I think that is the fastest of the night so far, George.
It is. So 107.154 certainly is the time to beat. And naturally, could we see a 106 here? Obviously, that is the question on everyone's lips. We've also got PR Marcus out on track as well, looking to try and improve on his offering. He's still out on a run so far. Certainly no indication of flashing on the rear of the car at all. So not conserving any battery. All he's concerned about is setting a fast lap as he now makes his way through the final couple of sections now. Of course, past Sabiba does boxes, the Archiban Carlos as well through turns 14 and 15. Marcus now looking to be magnificent here in Q3 as he now crosses the line and goes 8th fastest to 107.780 to push him higher than Ryan Cox. Potsy, the only driver not to set a lap, which could place him at a disadvantage as we go through. Luke Rochford now second fastest to 107.263 and makes the gap certainly a lot more reduced between that of Bailey Ford and P2.
He's just going a leap on stride here, Luke Rochford, this evening. Just consistently edging away at it. And well, he's right in contention to land that final knockout blow in qualifying on the end of the qualifying 3 session.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing whether he can deliver a little bit more than that. Obviously, we've still got just over 5 minutes and 20 still to go here in Q3. And plenty more to bring you as well, folks. Bailey Ford still at the top and looking reasonably healthy with it too. 2 Ferraris in the top 3. Of course, F1 Ferrari Pro setting a 107.297. The first, what should we say, deeping dive into the 107.2s, and he was then quickly joined by Luke Rochford, who went just slightly quicker than him. As a whole, it was approximately, I think, on record as 34 thousandths of a difference between Luke Rochford and F1 Ferrari Pro. So a great lap nonetheless. Ferrari Pro still very much in the mix. And we've also got Jack Humphries, who's also a 107.676, that being his first run, no doubt on a set of used tyres as well. So get ready, folks. This is going to be edge of your seat stuff. Could we yet see a 106 here tonight? What's your verdict? I'm going to ask you now for your final predictions, folks. I want to hear and see every single one of you littering that live chat. Let us know who is on pole tonight. Tom, I'm going to hand it over to you. What do you think? Who do you think is going to be on pole position tonight? I want your prediction.
Yeah, you got to say Jack Humphries based on form. But the thing is, though, the only thing that could interrupt the run for him is he currently sits down in P7, George, and as he comes out of the pit lane now, actually, he's got that added pressure of not being P1 or P2 at the moment, because if he does invalidate the lap or have a moment, he could be starting as low as P8 or P9. So is it the ultimate go max attack, as you would see Max Verstappen do, like he did in Monaco qualifying, or do you settle? Do you set something a little bit more safe that you know will put you on the first 2 rows?
Well, that is the big question. I can tell you what, you guys are lighting up the live chat, and I love it as well. Vertex Spec saying Luke Rochford. We've got further down as well, we've got 106.9 for sure, and rather Pro or Jack. So that is the tip from Venti Gaming. We've got Matty saying I've got Roscoe for pole. Superchore saying, George, Jack has done a 6.9 on PlayStation in OSRs. There you go. OSRL certainly coming out and saying that he's saying that Jack is definitely able to do a 6.9. And we could yet see that. Jack for pole says Karma. Boza saying Jack Humphreys by 0.42, by 0.042, should I say. CM Skate, great to see you, mate. I hope you're keeping well. 106.986 for Jack Pole, getting very precise now with some of these times as well. Slammer also coming out and saying a Jack 106.9. We got FRT Not Jordan saying a 106.946 for pole. Footy Dad saying Jack with a 106.8. Jax for pole says Brock Bear. We got Buster saying, get in there, lads. Get in there, mate. Tell you what, great to have you on board. We're also seeing Jax, Jacob, 40, and then Riley from MWR Sim Graphics as well. Marcus Paul for Nick Man. Big hello, plebs, as well. Great to see you, my friend. Plenty of you. Well done, everybody, on achieving what you have done with this series. It's great to have every single one of you here on board. Great to have you viewers tuning in the early hours of this morning as Jack Humphreys going slowly in that middle sector.
He's backed out of it, George. Got right up on the white line, the ragged edge out of Desquito de Lago, and has elected to abort the lap, recharge the battery, and go for it once more. So that pressure mounting, George, like we were saying, and now he has got it all to do on slightly worn tyres. This is going to be interesting, as some of them have already started their flying laps. Luke Rochford is out there right now. Yeah, Luke Rochford currently in the first sector, into sector 2 now very quickly. It's all on this final last chance to dance runs. The big question is, will the public be right? Will it be Jack Humphreys who sets in place a 106.9? That is the rumoured lap time that we're all expecting. Of course, he still has time to recover, Jack Humphreys. It's not like he's left himself without a chance, but Luke Rochford might be the first to enlist that very quick lap. Of course, Bailey Ford currently on top with a 107.154. He's also out on an outlap right now, but the Aston Martin currently sat in second in our timing tower. Now looking to try and go one step further and one step closer to pole position as well, as he now steps himself up across the line, goes fastest on the brink of a 106. It's a 107.052 for Luke Rochford, but he won't be the only one, because Jacob is also coming up towards the line and improving as well. Up towards the line for him as he does so. Not enough to go higher than P5 where he already was, despite finding two tenths in that final sector.
Yeah, same time as his FBR teammate Riley, as Jack Humphreys is coming up the hill to set his final flying lap here in the session. George, the man we're all hoping, or the chat were hoping for, a 106.9 from. Can he do it? He can't. It's a 107.0. He could not do it. He cannot deny Luke Rochford at the moment. Can anyone else? Can FBR Riley? Only third fastest at 107.131. What about the Mercedes, the Williams of Potsy, P5 for him? Now we've got PR Marcus coming up towards the line. Goes fifth fastest on a 0.2. Big Al is the next driver in the Alfa Romeo, improving at the second sector. Stays P9. What about Bailey Ford? He's spinning at the final corner. He's around. He put it all out on the line and was not able to deliver. And that means that Luke Rochford is on the pole.
Absolutely, an incredible lap from Luke Rochford. Bailey Ford off the track, as you can see, heading around Juncow corner. Unfortunately, it is certainly possible, very possible, to oversteer in that section. It's a very common issue, certainly for many of the drivers. Bailey Ford not able to improve from fourth fastest, but his earlier time enough to hold on to a top 4 place. But Luke Rochford, he's currently the man to beat. He's on top. Jack Humphreys, could it have been that error on that opening of his last run here, Tom? Was there damage to the tyres? Did that hamper a potential qualifying pole lap? Is that what happened there, do you think?
I think so. You know, the pressure of having to go from P7 to the front was already enough. Then he made that mistake, the pressure mounting. Then he's got the worn tyres, a less ideal setup. The mind is playing games on him at that point, and it just wasn't an ideal scenario for him. And all of that combined to deliver Luke Rochford the pole for the third Oceania F1 Invitational.
Well, I mean, if you look at the top, look at these lap times. Sensational. I mean, just look at them. You can just see there, top 4, all within the same tenth of a second. The gap between Jack Humphreys and Luke Rochford currently separated by a mere 41 thousandths of a second. Incredible. Not even half a tenth. absolutely impeccable. Certainly the standard here in this session, absolutely brilliant. Luke Rochford on pole position, fastest man on track. 39,000 separating Jack Humphreys and Luke Rochford, should I say. An incredible lap as well for Riley and Ford. And obviously the Alpine looking to try and go a little bit higher during the race. We'll have to wait and see whether he can. Bailey Ford in 4th. PR Marcus 5th with F1 Ferrari Pro. Just could not quite deliver on that early promise. Stays in 6th though, 107.219. Certainly not to be sniffed at. Potsy 7th with Jacob 8th. We've got Big Al 9th and Ryan Cox in 10th place as well. But Luke Rochford doing the business here. Tom has popped off somewhere. We don't know where he's gone, but we will see him very, very shortly, I am sure. But folks, an incredible run in qualifying. We had Luke Rochford up at the sharp end, the Aston Martin taking pole position at what can only be described as a sensational moment. And the big question is, can he convert that into a race win? At the very least. We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, another driver to watch out for as well is none other than Jack Humphreys, who has certainly been blistering. Certainly unable to, say, garner the plaudits that many of you said. I know a lot of you said a 106.9 looked like that very early issue heading into that final part of the run. Obviously hampering that final run, but certainly not to be sniffed at. He gave it everything. And as Tom rejoins us here, I mean, Tom, obviously off the back of what can only be described as a sensational qualifying session, credit to those up at the sharp end. Just wasn't enough for anyone to really beat Luke Rochford. He certainly looks dialed in, but I think the race might throw together a different prospect.
I think the word that I just took out of that sentence, George, was dialed in.
Yeah.
He had a very measured approach during that qualifying session, just consistently built up to it, and then delivered when it counted. It was all looking so good for Jax until 5 minutes left in Q3. But pole is great, but there's still 36 laps. And that's where the points are awarded, George, at the end of it. And I think we're going to see high-flying drama on every single one of those laps. And it's going to be quite the spectacle to watch. And, well, who's got the race pace? We know who has the quali pace, but who has the race pace?
Absolutely. Well, let us know as well in the live chat, folks, who you think is going to win this race here at Brazil. We want to hear from you. Make sure you electrify the live chat as we now look to go racing this time in this session. It's going to be sensational. We want to hear from you. Make sure you follow the channel as well. Stay up to date with everything F1 Oceania as we get set, ready for the race here. Well, certainly this morning if you're in the UK. If you're down under, of course, it is the evening. But there you have it. Luke Rochford taking them around on the formation lap to get us underway here in this very final event here on the F1 22 game in the F1 Oceania Invitational Series. We've got Jack Humphreys in behind as well. Riley in 3rd. Ford in 4th. We've got Marcus in 5th. F1 Ferrari Pro in 6th. Potsy 7th. Jacob in 8th. Big Al 9th. Ryan Cox in 10th. Any verdicts from yourself? Any words of wisdom, Tom?
Oh, I was just going to talk tyres for a moment. We got 5 out there on the medium tyre, including the pole sitter, George. His teammate Zachary Smith in P11, Oscar King in P13 in the Mercedes, Zachary Vlasblom in the McLaren out of P17, and G-Force Leo on the last position of the grid have gone for the medium. The rest go for the hard compound tyre. So those on the medium looking to get away early and hoping for a first half of the race safety car, or even earlier than that, to deliver them a cheaper pit stop. But we shall see how it all plays out. And, well, who can walk away with the chockies and the champagne on the podium come 36 laps in the book, George. It's going to be a good one, and I can't wait. No,
neither can I, and the live chat, I'm sure. Are you buzzing, folks at home? Are you looking forward to this? Are you not entertained before we go racing here tonight here in the Oceania OFI F1 Invitational? Let us know. Final call out for who you think are going to win this race here tonight. Is it going to be Luke Rochford? Is it going to be Jack Humphreys? Is it going to be somebody else? Let us know in that live chat, folks, as now the cars make their way around the final sector.
George. Fans are the biggest winners.
The fans are winning. The fans are winning. We've got Team Rochford in the chat as well, says Auntie Rara. Let us know, folks, who is going to win here tonight. Ford for the win, says ACW. We're seeing as well Luke gone for the Prince Strat, says Karma. Let us know, folks, as now they all line up on the grid, ready to get started. Rochford on pole, Humphreys in second. They line up on the front row as the cars look to get ready for one last chance to dance here on F1 22. Keep it with us. And here we go, folks. Here come the lights. First light, second light, third light, fourth light, and the fifth light. And it's pedal to the metal, and it is go, 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 and a jump start. Ryan Cox jumping the start at the very get-go. And of course, he's been handed a penalty as a result. Luke Rochford, though, leads through the centre S's. We've got a car off at the back. It's Ryan Cox. He's lost it. He's lost it through the centre S's. Rochford leads. Humphries in second. Bailey Ford in third place as well, with a battle between Oscar King and F1 Ferrari Pro. 3 wide heading through turn 4, but Oscar King holds on to ninth place, but Rochford leads here at the very start.
Ferrari Pro going back with stack to P11 already. He is not out of good first lap. FBR Jacob is trying to go around the outside of the uphill right-hand, and that's not going to work for him on Panda into the middle sector. Luke Rochford, though, getting away nicely off the pole.
Yeah, it certainly is as well. We got a battle further up for 5th place, side by side there between Zachary Smith and PR Marcus. The gap no side and flits around, but have a look at Potsy. Round the outside he goes, sleuthing his way through. Mission impossible. It was impossible that time around as they make their way through the next left and Junkow corner. Potsy, though, right in his rear, certainly having the slipstream. It might help him as he makes his way, coming through past the pit lane on the left-hand side by side between Big Al and Oscar King, who is done waiting. He's done watching. He's going to try and take P8. He has, through the centre S as he goes, and he might get another for his troubles as PR Marcus moves up into 6th as well.
Potsy right on PS Marcus has gone past through the curve of the soul. Oscar King waiting for no one on these medium tyres, same as Zachary Smith. They are taking no prisoners, George.
No, they certainly aren't. No prisoners taken. Certainly plenty of questions asked. Some of them have been answered. Oscar King now, 8th place. Big Al, though, threatening that Mercedes rear wing as he has done. Obviously, ever since Oscar King made that dynamic move to move up a spot, of course, Marcus now 7th place. Potsy now further up than him. They're starting to settle down now, though there is a gap developing between that of Bailey Ford and FBR Riley. Now, there is a big danger there, of course, Tom. If they break that slipstream, if he doesn't get back within 1 second, when DRS opens up, he could be a sitting duck later on already.
Yeah, absolutely. That all was stemmed from Ryan Cox and the incident down at the first corner. Obviously, Ryan Cox jumped the start, unfortunately, but there was a little bit of contact as Ryan Cox was down the inside of the Alpine, and then that just checked off the rest of the field, and that's created a 2-second gap between the top 3. And now Zachary Smith, who's going down the inside into the first corner at the centre of the Aston Martin, who started 10th on the grid, already up into 4th on the medium tyres, George. He's flying.
Yeah, absolutely right. Zachary Smith now up into 4th place. Riley might be suffering a little bit here. He's not having it all his own way. He certainly has lost plenty of time, obviously getting behind that of Bailey Ford. Bailey Ford on the cusp of losing potentially DRS as well when it becomes active. Obviously we're here on lap 3 now. Reese Fisher already in the pits as well. And it looks like, I think there was a wing change there as well. There was Reese Fisher already suffering some wing damage, as now we're seeing a battle lining up in the midfield. T-Mac getting closer and closer to Big Al, as now the group get themselves very close together as well. There are gaps starting to formulate in between rafts of drivers heading up through this top 10. And further down then we got quite a contingent all the way down to Jacob Palfrey. That, of course, the battle going on between that of, well, you've got it going from the bottom at P18 all the way up to that of Zachary Smith at P4 as well. But look at this conglomerate now as T-Mac once again getting closer to Big Al, starting to put the squeeze now, this time on the Alfa Romeo. If he can get the slipstream, DRS is open for him here. He might plumb to make the move, maybe use a little bit of ERS. We'll have to wait and see into the centre S as they go. No move made this time, but glued to the back of that Alfa Romeo as running extremely wide goes Panda as well in P12.
Yeah, it's put Jacob and the Red Bull all over him as they come onto the rest for a Foster now. DRS for the pair of them, but a fast superior exit. The Red Bull, who's going to just cleanly drive past him on the straight and into the braking zone. Jacob moves back up into P12, starting in the top 10.
Yeah, Jacob moving up as well. Obviously, we saw his certainly exquisite moves in qualifying. Certainly does have the pace. Hasn't had the easiest of starts, though, but managing to work his way forward, trying to challenge out of Panda, move up the order, get himself a little bit extra as we make our way through this race. On lap 4 of 36, still plenty of time to go. Obviously, we've got to throw in the strategy elements as well. Of course, the plethora of cars currently sat on hard tyres. Interesting stop, though, from Reese Fisher. Not sure softs are the right way to go here.
Yeah, I think that's just trying to preserve tyres in case something happens. He's already out of this race, George. And the 5 for semi competitive is Ferrari Pro going backwards. He has spun on the exit of Junkow. They've seen his teammate do that in qualifying. He does it in the race now. And well, he's demoted off of the train down into P18 now. So he's going to have the recovery drive ahead of him to pull out a good result.
Yeah, one of the favourites as well in this event. Obviously, he was challenging that of Luke Rochford, not to mention Jack Humphreys as well. Just clear to note that obviously the front two have drawn clear. They've gone away from Bailey Ford up at the sharp end by 2.1 seconds. The Red Bull still currently sat in second place, and looking pretty prominent. Is it just a case that he's biding his time here, Tom?
I don't think so. If you look at the ERS, George, the red light is flashing. He is using all that he can to try and stay with Luke Rochford, because the pace the Aston Martin is setting on those medium tyres is just pulling the Red Bull along. The gap behind 2.3 seconds almost now. So if Jack can just stay with the medium tyre-ridden Aston Martin for now, he's going to be in an amazing stead come the second half of the race.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, you will have the betterment of those hard tyres later on, and will be making the swap onto the mediums. Just wants to try and stay within DRS proximity. Doesn't want to lose out too much as he makes his way through the centre S's again. Of course, Humphreys, who is labelled as one of the greats, certainly from the regions of Oceania and Australia as well, has proven to be a very feisty competitor when it comes to racing here on the F1 game, and has certainly shown a lot of that promise already in qualifying. A race winner as well in this series, obviously, when we went racing at Austin, Texas. And also, unfortunately, obviously, because we haven't got Ryan Bell here tonight. Of course, Ryan Bell, a former winner as well, but unfortunately we will not see that contest. But nevertheless, we've got such a strong lineup of drivers, and Luke Rochford might be on his way to perhaps getting his first race win of this Event 3 rundown.
Yeah, he's certainly looking promising at the moment. Jack is doing an amazing job to stay with him on the hard compound tyre now, although the medium and the hard tyre will be coming towards each other in terms of pace in the next few laps, George. So we'll have to monitor how Jack can start becoming the aggressor in this two-car partnership or train. And then now we have Zachary Smith, who has caught up the rear of Bailey Ford, who was just not able to match the pace of the two ahead in these first 6 laps.
No, not at all. And obviously Zachary Smith on that medium tyre as well, as we now see the contingent of cars get closer and closer. Potsy as well getting very close to the back of Riley. Both these cars, incidentally, on the hard compounded tyre, with Oscar King, who's currently on the mediums and has in fact lost, should we say, the DRS gap has actually plumbed out to beyond a second, so now needs to work hard to bring it together, as there we're seeing PR Marcus having a little look down the inside, heading through towards turn 4. Nothing happening between them just yet, but Potsy also looking to try and make some big moves as well. A very, very dramatic midfield here at this point. They seem to be looking all over each other's rear wing, haven't quite yet plumbed to make the moves, but Potsy looking venomous on the tail of Riley right now.
Yeah, it's been pretty measured from all 20 of them out there at the moment, just playing the long game slightly, George, although 36 laps is only the 50% distance. Is a long way to go in this race, and it's not worth going do or die at this stage of the race, especially for those like Potsy and Zachary Smith, who are right on the back of a car ahead, but they're in a good position at the moment.
Yep, Zachary Smith has brought it right back in and will in fact challenge, heading up in towards P3 as well, side by side between Bailey Ford, and he'll look to try and use that Tiger line, heading through the centre S's, brilliantly, majestically, comprehensively pulled off. The Aston Martin's now sharing 1 and 3 here in this timing tower. Great move from Zachary Smith.
Absolutely, it's going to be fascinating to watch the tale of the story for the Aston Martin in the second half of this race, as they are on the complete opposite strategy to everyone around them, apart from Oscar King. So it's going to be one to watch. Now Bailey Ford is sat in behind Zachary Smith, and let's see if he can try and maintain the gap with him, as he was unable to do with Jack Humphrey.
Well, Bailey Ford does have the hard tyres at his disposal. Of course, Zachary currently holding on to the medium, so he will stop beforehand. And you would expect as well Luke Rochford, who's obviously on the medium tyres. Now, it's tricky. Luke Rochford can play this one or two ways. He can either try and break the gap between him and Jack Humphreys, try and use all the tyres. Then again, that might not be a smart decision later on in the stint, because Jack Humphreys can then utilise the better hard tyres. or he might be better off just saving, perhaps just nurturing the gap, maybe having a little bit of DRS play with Jack Humphreys as well, and then essentially take the mediums as far as he can, utilise them later into the stint, and then maybe that will usher him in a chance later on when we're into the second half of this race. But it's all up for question marks across the board, as now G-Force L30, that of course being Leo Duncan, who had an unfortunate start to qualifying, had a very difficult qualifying in fact. He's up into 13th place here, Tom.
Yes, he is just going past Plevey there into the first corner. So he's trying to get up in towards the top 10 now before those medium tyres start to get a little bit worse for wear. Although he's used quite a considerable amount of his battery to do so, George. So using those resources that you were just talking about that are available to Jack Humphreys.
Yeah, just using literally, yeah, using the tyres at his disposal. Matt Plevey, of course, currently sat in 14th, now has seen Leo Duncan move ahead of him into 13th place. The Haas car now sat just in behind that of Panda, who's also on hard tyres. So Leo Duncan having to use, I think, every ounce of his compound. Obviously, this is where he's going to be quickest, so needs to make the most of it in hope that something will certainly go his way as we go deeper into this race. We, of course, got a gap coming together again between Potsy and Riley. That's for 5th place. Obviously, that battle's currently being witnessed as well as Belay now goes 14th. Certainly in the timing screen now, Matt Plevey dropping down again into 15th place. So again, another swap heading down that long straight, but Plevey, far from done, remains on his rear wing and will have DRS heading through towards turn 4. Here they go again. The Alfa Romeo now, not close enough though to make that big move, but nonetheless, a great fight nonetheless as T-Mac takes them through the second sector.
Yeah, scrapping for pride down here in the lower positions, but we're now on to lap 10 and we have the first penalty. So Bailey Ford up in P4, a 3-second time penalty for him. That could be very costly.
Could well be, and certainly penalties will not be your friend in a race such as this when the gaps are so close together. Plevey now in the prospect of losing out again, because Zachary Vlasblom is now right behind him and getting really close and personal as well as they make their way up through towards Junkow corner. As they do make their way through, he's almost pushing the Alfa Romeo through this final sector as well, so Plevey might be relinquished of that 15th place as Vlasblom looks to try and bomb his way down this long straight now this time. DRS opens up for the McLaren, side by side they go again, as now we're seeing Panda and Leo Duncan come together as well, and Duncan moves ahead there of Panda for 12th, and further back Plevey managing to keep Vlasblom at bay as well. This second half battle is intoxicating, it's thrilling. Potsy as well moves into 5th ahead of Riley too. So now it's a swap between the Williams and the Alpine, and now once again they share very little gap of delta. They might yet come together again as this race draws on.
Yeah, the Williams now the one who has to force the or punch the hole in the air, with Bailey Ford about 2 seconds off the road in his Ferrari in a hot pursuit of Zachary Smith. As well, the medium tyre pit stop not too far down the horizon, George. They're peeping over the horizon at us now.
Yeah, they certainly are. 11 laps out of 36, and Luke Rochford, who currently leads the way now. Belay has actually lost 2 places. There's been a spinner. Jacob Palfrey now moves on through. It is Belay who has spun it just before Junkow corner. Deary me, the scene's almost of where we lost F1 Ferrari Pro in the race earlier too, and he spun it again. Belay has spun it again, heading out of Junkow. The tyres just overheated, can't get the grip, and Ryan Cox did very well to avoid him too.
It's T-Mac, mate. T-Mac is under incredible pressure here from Big Al down the retroposter. Does the Alfa Romeo go for a move? No, he doesn't, but that pressure is mounting on the shoulders of the McLaren driver, who is seeing the drivers ahead of him drive off into the sunset, as we have another car around. This time is the Alpine of Panda on the exit of Desierto del Lago, and he falls behind Ferrari Pro now as well.
Yeah, and he's lost his entire front wing as well, so he's going to have to come into the pits and get that repaired. So losing a few names already in this session. Zachary Vlasblom as well, right on the tail of Matt Plevey yet again. We saw these two coming together earlier on. And we're now seeing Vlasblom make his way through the very, very tight right-hander coming out of the SA corners. Very soon they'll come around the Pinorino and Bico de Pato, and then making their way up towards Junkawa. You can now see them heading around turn 12 now. Great chance now for Vlasblom. If he can try and open up the door, get himself past Plevey here at this point, it certainly will be very helpful as the delta now starts to spread out between that of Leo Duncan and Plevey's Alfa Romeo as well. Now the McLaren has a look either side, but going defensive, Plevey doing very well to marshal off the attack.
Yeah, he's certainly applying the pressure here. Is Vlasblom Plevey coping well with it? We've seen Plevey cope with the pressure well, but how can he cope with this attack from Vlasblom as he goes to the outside of the Alfa Romeo and manages to clear him into the corner? So nicely done from Zachary. Finally makes his way past Matthew Plevey and up into P13.
Yeah, also Panda coming into the pits and getting a new front wing on the car. Belay goes up ahead of him on the timing screen too. Reese Fisher also coming into the pits as well.
Change for the lead. Sorry, George. The gap is down to 0.3 of a second. Jack Humphries, it's the closest he's been so far, but look at Rochford just pull away on the straight.
Yeah, he's finding pace, certainly. Reese Fisher in the pits as well and changing, certainly again onto a set of hard tyres. Obviously making that earlier stint on the softs, and now you can see being lapped now by Luke Rochford, who now holds on to the lead with Jack Humphries now starting to get closer and closer here in the early stage. Obviously still yet to see the main pit stop, should we say, in terms of a strategy sense, and it'll all be on Luke Rochford and Jack Humphries to make the key decisions as they now battle it out for the race lead. Rochford now in front, Humphries in second, the Red Bull and the Aston Martin together, 13 laps shared apiece on their compounded tyres. Hards for Humphries, mediums for Rochford, as they now head around the middle sector now, heading out of Bico de Pato, now around the Marullo now before then venturing up through towards Junchao very soon. They've got to get through this middle sector first though, out of the Pitorino. This is Bico de Pato now, as they head around Marullo corner very shortly at turn 11. The Aston Martin now under a distinct amount of pressure. The Red Bull starting to rise up here on Rochford for the lead of this race. If he can get the run now, heading past Sabiba's boxes, this could prove fruitful here in terms of the result later on. The hard tyres now coming into fruition as Rochford now chooses to come into the pits. So the strategy now unfurled. Now this could prompt some decision making from the drivers further down as well here, Tom.
Yeah, you got the likes of Zachary Smith, yeah, who could have come in on the next lap. Obviously couldn't come in now. His teammate in the box getting the medium tyres off, hard tyres on. Good stop for the Aston Martin boys, 2.2 seconds. And out he rejoins into the pit exit now. And he's got a whole lot of cars ahead of him as he emerges on the track right around the likes of Zachary Vlasblom and Matthew Plevey, who we have seen in an intense battle. And Matthew Plevey back ahead once now of the McLaren driver, George.
Yeah, he certainly is. P12 now for Plevey, now ahead of Zachary Vlasblom. These two have been battling it out for quite some time now. Jack Humphries out in front now, Tom. Now that he knows that obviously his contender Luke Rochford obviously has already boxed, does that prompt Jack Humphries to now start pushing the hard tyres? Does he start trying to whittle an advantage now? Because obviously Rochford has got to try and heat up his hard tyres. This might be the perfect moment for Humphries to start pushing.
I think Jack knows that he can keep a measured approach for now, because his rival is about to be boxed up in traffic from Zachary Vlasblom and Matthew Plevey, who are not going to be coming to the pit lane, or at least for Plevey, for another 5 or so laps. So Jack has all this space to just go out, set his pace, and then come out on the mediums, most likely behind the Aston Martin, but with a significant pace advantage in the last 15 laps or so.
Yeah, we got 2 more cars in the pits as well, maybe lap 3, because Zachary Vlasblom has come in, but Zachary Smith and Oscar King, who are also part of the top 10 contingent, they've obviously plumbed to change the medium tyres for the hards as well. Leo Duncan, the only car as well as Panda to remain on the mediums. The rest are on hards as well, so they've now got to make moves and get themselves through. Luke Rochford very well and truly clear of them though, as he looks to try and march a charge here and try and overtake Matt Plevey, who's just ahead of him here. Obviously this is a battle for P10. Of course Plevey still yet to come into the pits and is on distinctly older hard tyres at this point. Now we're seeing Rochford make his way around the first sector as well, already getting those tyres up to the required temperature. A very attractive move though down the inside, and makes it happen as well as they make their way around the Marullo corner. Oh, Luke Rochford spiralling his way upwards, heading up through the field. P10 now up at the sharp end. Bailey Ford now into the pits as well. He is making a change, and Rochford will come across now past the pit lane on the left-hand side. He's already in the top 10, but he'll only be worried about one man, and that's Jack Humphries.
Very early stop from Bailey Ford onto the medium tyres, but Matthew Cleavey, he's had all that pressure on him all night, and he's finally reached his boiling point, folded like a house of cards with the Aston Martin in his rear vision mirrors and running wide, and Luke Rochford needed no more invitation to make his way past.
No, very much opened the door for him, I think, Matt Cleavey. Just left it wide open. He needed no invitation. Luke Rochford plumbing for the move and is now up into 9th place. There's a 2.7 second gap between him and Leo Duncan in 8th that he needs to try and rain down. Of course, Duncan currently sat with 16 lap old medium tyres in 8th place. And the gap currently sits at 2.4. We'll see how fast it takes for it to drop down. Of course, Cleavey now out by a second in behind that of Rochford. So there you can see the difference in terms of the tyre compounds. Rochford, in fact, already knocking off 4/10 of a second, as now Humphries in the pits. So this is the crucial moment here, as we now see Humphries come into the pits, and here comes Rochford.
So Rochford out of Juncow corner, rising up the hill. He's got some space in front of him. The battery is flashing, so he is on the push now. Try and make this undercut on the hard tyres work as he comes up towards the centre S now. Jack Humphries will be on the inside. You can just see the rear wing over the pit wall there, as they are side by side almost. You can't see them, but they are side by side as they come back onto the track, and the Aston Martin will emerge just ahead of the Red Bulls. But Jack Humphries is now right where he has been all race, stalking the rear wing of the Aston Martin.
Well, a very early call, certainly for Jack Humphries. Some people might have gotten a little bit later, but certainly Humphries not content with waiting. He's decided to box already, perhaps an instant response to the likes of Big Al, not to mention Jacob Palfrey. What about Riley as well? They've all pitted onto a fresh set of medium tyres, and now it's all about this battle for the net lead of the race. Of course, Rochford currently holds on to it. Humphries in behind him too. Potsy is leading out on track, being chased down by Marcus, who's 3 seconds away, but already we're seeing the puzzle pieces come together. But keenly enough for Jack Humphries, despite him being behind that of Rochford, he's got no cars or no back markers, certainly no one in the way between him on this fight. The Rochford might change that. Ink into the pits though, comes out of Leo Duncan, so clears the routes yet again and allows this fight to continue between that of Jack Humphries and Luke Rochford. Rochford still holding the net lead as more and more cars come into the pits.
As Bailey on Ford on his new medium tyres does pass the lap of the race, down in P6 at the moment, but what is P3 on net positions at the moment, as he managed to overcut the Aston Martin of Zachary Smith in the pit lane. So Zachary Smith appears to have a poor pit lane duration from time of entry to time of exit there. He lost about 2 seconds to Bailey Ford in there. So Bailey Ford, now on the medium tyres, should drive away from the Aston Martin, although he's got that penalty of 3 seconds looming over him.
Yeah, absolutely right indeed. He can easily pull that gap, obviously, on those medium tyres, and that's what he'll hope to do in order to negate the issue with that penalty. But Zachary Smith will have the better compound as the race goes deeper. As we now see Luke Rochford now make his way around Juncow, being closely followed by Jack Humphries in behind as well. Now this is essentially for the net lead. Into the pits comes Potsy, so that'll soon become P2 and P3 for both Rochford and that of Humphries as well. In comes Potsy as well, as now they go side by side again. Outside line for Humphries, who takes the lead here at Brazil, and round the centre S as he goes. He's going to look to take it home and keep Rochford in behind. We are in for a real treat, a real battle between two sensational drivers. Again, getting close, heading in towards Decidia de Lago out of Retro Aposta, but Humphries holds on to the lead. 4.5 tenths the gap. It springs out to near 5 tenths, but they will prosaically battle throughout this entire race. What a coming together. Can Humphries take it home?
Can Humphries drive away? Can Luke Rochford hang on? The gap already opening up to 8 tenths of a second. We know the pace that Jack Humphries has in his pocket. He displayed it in the first half of the race on the hard compound. Can Luke Rochford do the same? Challenge for the victory now, as Ryan Cox has retired in the pit lane, unfortunately. And, well, we're down to 19 runners now as they exit Juncow. The gap just under a second, and Luke Rochford hangs on to DRS for now.
But surely Luke Rochford now, if it goes beyond the 1 second, if he loses DRS, how crucial could that be, despite the tyre advantage towards the end of the race here, Tom? Will losing that DRS be crucial?
Oh, absolutely. It'll be crucial. He won't be able to overcome it without a mistake from Jack Humphries, so he has to hang on. The only problem is, unlike Jack Humphries at the start of the race, who had 100% battery to play with, Luke Rochford has nothing to play with throughout the middle of the lap to try and hold on to that 1 second window of Jack Humphries.
It's going to be very tight indeed. Humphries now takes him around on lap 21 of 36. We've still got, you can easily see, 15 laps still to go. Plenty more to be had here as Valet retires from the session. Ryan Cox also retiring as well. We're down to 18 cars here in this session. Big Al as well getting closer and closer to the back of Leo Duncan as well. Both these drivers have changed, and medium tyres on the car for Big Al as he looks to try and get himself close to this, of course, being Al Karudin, who's driving the Alfa Romeo. A very late lunge, though, down the inside. They don't make contact, but a very sensational move. Left it late, sprung a surprise, opened the door, heading in towards the Larangina Benz at turn 8, in towards the Pinarino they go, still remaining side by side, but Big Al with an absolutely sensational overtake. He opened the door, didn't wait, just wanted the move done. 11th place on the table and has made it. Cracking move there.
Yeah, now Ferrari Pro's fighting at the heels of Leo Duncan up the hill out of Junkao. Nice move from Big Al, as you were saying, but now can the Ferrari follow him through down towards the turn 1? They've both got the slipstream off the Alfa Romeo driver. They're all very, very closely bunched as they come into the center S now. Good exit for the Alfa Romeo and for the Haas and for the Ferrari. All Ferrari powered units, although we know it's equal here in the multiplayer. They all got the same tools to work with. Who can use them best down in towards the Skidoo de Lago, and at the moment Big Al hangs on.
Yeah, a lot later.
Move for P5.
A lot later on the break set from Leo Duncan, side by side as well between Potsy and Zachary Smith. We saw these two coming together earlier on as well. Zachary Smith on the hards, 6-lap-old hards against 2-lap-old medium tyres of Potsy, who looks to have certainly marshaled a decent deficit now as they spring out to Junkao corner, and he now starts to move up on Riley for that 4th place. Could yet steal it away from him as they look to come together. The Williams and the Alpine. DRS opens up this time for Potsy. Of course, Riley has no DRS, no ERS at all as he looks to recharge. Potsy into 4th place, and he will look to prosaically rise on his medium tyres that are 2 laps fresher than Riley in behind him. He's in 4th. Can he make a charge? Can he catch up with Bailey Ford? If he gets into a window with the time penalty, that could grant Potsy a podium here today.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to have that tyre advantage at the end of the race, which is going to be really critical for him. And, well, he has a 7/10 margin to make up in the next 13 laps, George. So that's only a small amount per lap for him to pull out. The only problem is he's got FBR Riley and Zachary Smith behind him, who are not going to make it a plain sail up towards the Ferrari.
No, not at all. It's going to be a very interesting contest between them. F1 Ferrari Pro getting closer as well to Leo Duncan as well. That's another fight that could well be happening soon. Leo Duncan flashing on the rear wing. And we're hearing as well that apparently Luke Rochford has broken his DRS. So he's actually lost DRS, and it's meant that he's now outside the second window as well. So Jack Humphries may have been handed a lifeline here at this portion of the race. Humphries now leads the way. Rochford now, no DRS, and he won't have it at all. Heading down the straight of Retta Aposta, this could be extremely key in terms of the race.
Yeah, obviously we'll continue to monitor that gap in the background, but amazing work from Jack Humphries to break away, because the DRS here is quite powerful, George. So utilising those medium tyres at his disposal very well in the initial part of this stint.
Yeah, Luke Rochford losing out on that DRS now. That could prove to be vital, and that gap is springing outwards again. It's 1.4, nearly 1.5. And as that continues to go, obviously, Jack Humphries, all he has to do is manage the current situation. Of course, we've still got 12 laps still to go, so still a lot on the table for him.
They're inside each other. I was about to say that looked rather strange, but Duncan inside of Levy there up the hill. A little bit of ghosting, but Leo ahead for the moment.
Yeah, Leo Duncan currently sat in 13th place. Levy currently sat in 14th. The gap very slender between the pair as they now head round now the Marullo corner before making the climb up through towards Junkao. Further back then you can see Jacob Palfrey also looking to get closer and closer as they exit out of turn 14 and turn 15 very soon to commence yet another lap. And Duncan, I think, might be under a lot of pressure here because Levy is starting to gain as we know, right on board with him. Levy will show up surely side by side with him as they head through towards the centre. S is the Alfa Romeo, now side by side through past Duncan and up into 13th place, and will chase after F1 Ferrari Pro, who currently sits 1.5 seconds up the road from him as well for P12, and he'll look to prosaically rise as well. T-Mac currently doing a wonderful job in 10th to hold on to that point section of the field. Big Al in behind as well. You got F1 Ferrari Pro now within half a second, within 0.6 of a second of Big Al in 11th place. But Matt Levy once again putting the moves in place, getting past that of Leo Duncan, and a great move.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, that gap at the front continues to widen out to 1.6 seconds now, as we are just looking here at FBR Riley trying to hang on to Williams, who is streaking ahead of him. Potsy on the slightly younger mediums has got the pace at the moment, and he's already within 3 seconds of Bailey Ford ahead.
Yeah, we can just see now that Potsy is in fact working on the delta between Bailey Ford and himself. He's broken to within 3 seconds, so there could yet be Potsy on the podium at this point, because Bailey Ford does have that penalty. So if it stays like this, Potsy will be on the podium. We'll have to wait and see whether that will be the case. Obviously still plenty of time left in the race, but he does have fresher medium tyres at this point. Riley currently sat in 5th, Zachary Smith on the hards as well. Not having a bad race at all, but has got 10 laps accrued on those hards, and Pierre Marcus is trying to break down the delta deficit between them. Now we see them come together again. F1 Ferrari Pro also right on the tail of Big Al, and that's another battle that we could see coming to fruition very shortly, because F1 Ferrari Pro does have 2 lap fresher medium tyres too, and look at him riding that rear wing here, Tom.
What could have been without that spin, George? He's got the pace, he's shown it, but one mistake has put him down the order early on, and he's on the recovery, maybe looking for a final point paying position from T-Mac, but that's still another 5 seconds up the road, and well, he's got Big Al to worry about at the present point in time.
Yeah, he certainly does. Big Al right in front of him. DRS now open for F1 Ferrari Pro, the 2 Ferrari engine power cars, but the true Ferrari now moves up into 11th, and it is going to be F1 Ferrari Pro now ahead of Big Al for that 11th place. Jacob Palfrey going past as well, Leo Duncan for that 14th spot. And he'll now prosaically move up the order, but now 4.1 seconds to find between that of F1 Ferrari Pro and T-Mac, and we have a yellow flag in Sector 1 as well. Is that Palfrey?
It is Palfrey at the Curve of the Soul in a strange location, it must be said, facing the wrong way as he gets recovered now. No obvious damage to the car, but again, he's dropped down a few more places because of that. But we stay green, George. We've stayed green for 27 laps.
Yeah, we certainly have stayed green for 27 laps. Only 2 retirements in this session. That, of course, being Valet and Cox. And we're into within the final 10 laps. We are now within the final, should we say, 8 laps as a whole. Was lap 28 of 36. Jack Humphreys now taking them around on lap 28 of 36. Now Luke Rochford in behind, 2.2 seconds now the delta. Now, surely if you're Jack Humphreys now at this point, you just don't want to make any mistakes here, Tom. One mistake can spin the fortunes of this race. I can see that he's flashing, he's saving the energy. Just a clear and concise drive. He's now got the energy back on now. This is just race management at this point for Jack Humphreys, am I right?
Yeah, Jax has done this many times before, won many races, been in this position more times than he can remember, and he knows what to do. He's not going to be pushing flat out from here on. He's got a comfortable gap to Luke Rochford behind. All he is hoping for is no late race safety car, because he has got it all under control at the moment.
Now, if you want to see the gaps to the leader as well, Jack Humphreys managing to marshal a 2.3 gap between him and Luke Rochford. The closest then behind in 3rd place is, of course, Bailey Ford, but he does have a penalty. And Potsy is looming closer and closer as well between them. There's the tyre difference as well between the hards and the mediums. Fastest lap as well currently on the table for Jack Humphreys. 38% on those medium tyres. They do wear out pretty quickly, and you could argue that on that basis, Jack Humphreys' tyres aren't going to be too far dissimilar from that of Bailey Ford. So there is yet a chance as we go deeper into this race. I mean, should the gap not stretch out too far, as Bailey Ford now gets another 3-second time penalty, I'd say that all but seals his placement outside the podium places.
Yeah, Yeah, that's going to steal him down below FBR Riley at the current point in time. If Zachary Smith can find some late race pace, he can find himself up into the top 5 potentially. But I was hearing from the gentleman practicing that it was 25 laps was the maximum the medium tyre could do, so they're well within that to the end of the race, George.
Yeah, well within range. I think currently, if you look at Bailey Ford's tyres, we saw it earlier on, 36% generally on the tyre compound. Jack Humphreys having a lap fresher, so he would probably be around about 35 as well. So well within the window, you would imagine, certainly with just over 6 laps still to go. Jack Humphreys still leads the way. Luke Rochford, though, trying to put a, at least put a breaker in that delta gap, stop it from sprinting outwards. It's now out to 2.1. It did look to go out to 2.2, but he has since stopped that. If he can bring it to within 2 again and try and bring it closer, that would be useful. He is keeping him honest. It hasn't broken that much.
He's keeping him honest. PR Marcus keeping Zachary Smith very honest here down the retroposter and clears him. Nicely done. He had a lot of battery to use. PR Marcus, the most I've seen in a long time in this race, and he manages to clear Zachary Smith into sector 2 now, and he can set off after a time window to potentially get into the top 5 because of Bailey Ford's penalty.
Absolutely. Well, PR Marcus now currently sat in 6th place ahead of Zachary Smith now, and half a second now already being marshalled between the two. Zachary Smith obviously on the older hard tyres. Marcus still within that medium tyre window and looks very confident behind the wheel. Potsy, incidentally, still getting closer by the moment, obviously, thousandth by thousandth, hundredth by hundredth to Bailey Ford. Of course, it doesn't really necessarily matter because, of course, the penalties are extensive enough for him to obviously try and claim onto a podium. But as they make their way down the straight yet again, still Humphreys with the advantage. One thing to say, though, Zachary Smith still has not left that rear wing of the Alpine ahead of him here, or certainly the AlphaTauri ahead of him here, sorry, should I say, as we're now seeing them come together again. The Aston Martin still looking to try and galvanise a potential improved result. Currently sat in 7th, wants to retake that 6th place. Oscar King sat behind in 8th as well, also having a penalty to his name. Only 2 cars with penalties against them here in this race. We're on lap 31 of 36, only a mere 5 or so laps still to go, and Humphrey still holding the advantage. Rochford, though, keenly enough, still maintains a similar gap.
He got it down to 1.9 for a split second there, George, so it looks like the pace advantage might be swinging back towards the hard tyres late in this race, but I think Jack Humphreys has it all sealed at the moment. But you can never count the chickens before they lay their eggs. You never quite know what's going to happen. As well, I'm sure there's one more twist to come in these final 4 laps.
Well, I can tell you this, PR Marcus on his tyres, 12 laps accrued. He's enlisted 39% to 41% on his tyres. So Jack Humphreys will be feeling the sting. And look at this. Luke Rochford, 1.9 seconds. Zachary Smith as well, coming straight back at PR Marcus as well. So this is definitely looking like the swing. Now, as to whether Luke Rochford has enough in the tank to pull off the most outrageous recovery we have seen, certainly in league racing, it would certainly be absolutely sensational. If he can bounce this back from 1.8, it would be a huge ask for him in just over 4 laps.
He's got to get DRS before the last lap.
He definitely does.
He's got to get DRS on lap 35. If he doesn't get it then, he's got no chance, I would suspect.
Well, it's certainly if you gather the fact that Marcus is now excruciated near enough 42% on his tyres, then definitely this does fall into the hands of the hards. You never know. We could be seeing yet another time towards the end. Rochford's still struggling, though, to get beyond the 2 seconds. He did dip into the 1.9s, but they've jumped back up yet again, and now he's going to have to put in another effort.
Speed.
He does, just not in the corners.
Gets a penalty there, just behind Marcus, trying to push to stay with him. But that gap is coming down on the straight sections. It normally gets to its lowest point at turn 4 to Ciano de Largo, before we get into the more intricate sections in sector 2. But he is slowly nudging away at it, George, but I feel like he might need a few more laps than we've got remaining.
It could well be the case. You would have needed Jack Humphreys to ideally box perhaps a little earlier than what he did. He is saving the ERS as well, Luke Rochford, at this point, but he has managed to cultivate a 1.8 gap. Needs to try and maintain it and try and find a little extra as well as he makes his way around the Pinarino corner. Of course, Bico de Pato coming up next as well, as we're now seeing them make their way through towards turn 10. The Aston Martin trying to galvanise something out of this final few laps. Jack Humphreys, who has brought together a stellar showing here once again, looking to add win number 2 to what can only be described as a sensational run for him after coming off the back of Austin at the United States Grand Prix circuit. That's of course Kota. He'll be looking to try and add yet a second victory in the OFI, and certainly try and take the crown as well in terms of being the most dominant driver in this series. Outside that of Brian Bell, who unfortunately couldn't be with us, but Jack Humphreys enlisting. Certainly a grandiose display so far. The gap now back out to 2 seconds here at this point. Bailey Ford now 3.8 behind. Potsy confirming almost near enough that he will get onto the podium should it stay like this. Obviously 6 seconds of penalties now enlisted to Bailey Ford, as now we're seeing F1 Ferrari Pro round the outside now of the CLRSs, past T-Mac. He hugs the inside line, but he's not giving up here. T-Mac off the circuit, that might be looked at by the stewards. Will he give the position as they head down the straight now, heading down the Retta Aposta in towards Decidia del Lago? F1 Ferrari Pro delivering a clinic, but back comes T-Mac here straight away, not content with foregoing the position. He's doing everything he can to keep the Ferrari behind.
Yeah, it's an amazing scrap in the dying stages. We said the Ferrari Pro might be on for that 10th spot, and he's gotten there. Whether he can get in front is another thing. He's brought Big Al to the battle with him as well, so 3 of them are going to be fighting for this final point here in the top 10. And well, T-Mac is the one without the DRS assistance at the moment, as we are on the 35th lap for the leaders, still on the 34th lap for these drivers as they come around Jun Kao there for the 3rd last time, and T-Mac struggling up the hill with a lack of air. Here comes Ferrari Pro, George.
Yeah, Ferrari Pro now looking to go side by side here with T-Mac. He's going to get it done on the straight. No need to worry about apexes or corners. It will be F1 Ferrari Pro into P10 in absolutely clinical fashion and style. And now he'll look to build that gap. What a recovery drive to get into the top 10 after a difficult start to the race. And he will have enjoyed that one. And now T-Mac has got to face Big Al as he looks to come straight back at him here for that P11. But the Ferrari Pro, an excellent display as we now have a yellow flag in Sector 1. Jack Humphreys still leading the way, and he's about to start the final lap of the race.
Yes, he is coming up to start the final lap, and he's built that gap up again to 2.3 seconds over Luke Rochford. So, as we suspected, Jack Humphreys has got this one in hand, all under control for the moment, and with just over 4 kilometres to go, George.
Yeah, absolutely. Jack Humphreys now exiting the centre S's down the Retta Aposta. He's already managed to spring out a gap of 2 seconds that has been managed right through ever since the pit stop phase, when he made that crucial overtake then on the second stint that would have galvanised him with a P1. Luke Rochford in second as well. But nevertheless, do not count out Luke Rochford. A sensational qualifying performance. Jack Humphreys unable to dip into the 106.9s that we saw that was expected, certainly by that of the chat that all gave their predictions, but he certainly did not disappoint in terms of his action here out on circuit. He gave certainly everything, managing the RS levels, the tyre temps as well, but certainly after winning sensationally at Austin, Texas, coming off the back of a difficult start at Silverstone, he arrived here at event 3, gave everything, delivered everything as Potsy now moves up into 3rd place. That's not certainly the story. It's Jack Humphreys who's going to take a 2nd win this season, taking the event 3 as well. He wins at Interlagos. Luke Rochford comes across the line, comes 2nd here as well. Potsy will cross the line for 3rd. That is your podium, folks. Jack Humphreys your winner, Luke Rochford in 2nd, Potsy in 3rd place.
Yeah, and Bailey Ford may have spun on that final lap down Magulio just before Jun Kao, so he drops down even further just ahead of Oscar King now. But yeah, amazing result for Jack Humphreys, taking the victory just ahead of Luke Rochford. And then Potsy, that's a great drive from him, starting P13, moving up 10 positions into P3 at the checkered flag.
Yeah, an absolutely fantastic drive. Certainly, got to give credit as well to F1 Ferrari Pro, who had a very difficult start to the race. Managed to turn it around for himself, though, at the same time. Obviously, both Ferraris, that of course being Bailey Ford as well, who was giving it everything, was very, very fast in qualifying, but the time penalties certainly caused him to lose out on what could have been a sensational podium. But nevertheless, is this man who is celebrating, Jack Humphreys, your race winner here at Interlagos, celebrating here in Brazil. Driver of the day going to Zachary Smith. But a massive, massive congratulations to the podium sitters and your race winner as well. And he will stand tall on the podium after enlisting an absolutely sensational display. There he is, Jack Humphreys, your race winner. And he couldn't have won it better, really, could he, Tom?
Class act. We all know what a class act he is, and he's proven it tonight, George, with an amazing drive from the front row to P1 at the checkered flag. And, well, as you said, that's 2 wins for him in 3 races of the Oceania F1 Invitational on F1 22. And what a way to finish off F1 22. And I feel like F1 22 is not going to be on many hard drives in 15 minutes.
Well, I can tell you this now, for one, it certainly will be a very, very happy ending for Jack Humphreys in terms of his venture on F1 22. But heading into F1 23, where I'm sure the Oceania F1 Invitational will be making its resounding return. Jack Humphreys is your winner, folks. He has taken victory here in Event 3. Luke Rochford in second. We got Potsy in third. Riley in fourth. Marcus fifth. Zachary Smith in sixth place. We got Jacob in seventh. We got Bailey Ford in eighth. Oscar King ninth. F1 Ferrari Pro in 10th. T-Mac in 11th. Big Al in 12th. Matt Plevey in 13th, with G-Force, Leo Duncan in 14th, as well as Zachary Vlasblom, Panda in 16th, Jacob Palfrey in 17th, Reese Fisher as well, a lap down in 18th. We lost Valet and, of course, Ryan Cox as well. They DNF'd earlier on in the race and unfortunately weren't able to finish. But what a clinic, what an absolutely phenomenal race, what an absolutely phenomenal final event here of the OFI, certainly here in terms of the F1 22 game. It was absolutely sensational, wasn't it, Tom? Did you enjoy that?
Oh, absolutely, mate. It was a pleasure to share the commentary box with yourself, George, and to watch those 36 laps. And, well, a result we expected, it didn't exactly go the way that we all expected it to, though.
No, I mean, obviously, I think qualifying was a surprise in many ways. I think there was a few names that probably arguably should have been up there that weren't. But you look at the sensational effort placed in by Jack Humphreys. That error, though, I think heading into his final run, I think in Q3, obviously costing him a potential pole. I think at the same time, maybe even costing him that 106.9 that everyone was talking about in the live chat. Obviously, that was the topic of conversation, certainly the prediction made by many, but unable to do it. But I don't think he'll be too worried about it now, for some reason.
No, I don't think he'll care right now. Obviously, that was the expectation going in. But at the end of the day, he walks away with the P1 here this evening, and well, it was just clinical from him. Apart from that brief mistake in the qualifying session, but he didn't let it affect him. Reset for the race, and well, drove like a champion until the checkered flag.
He certainly did. Drove it like a champion. Drove it clinically. Drove it brilliantly. I think without any doubt it was absolutely sensational. I believe we do have some drivers in the green room, if I'm not mistaken. Can we pull a few in? I think, why don't we speak to a couple? I can think of one man I think we'd like to speak to. I can imagine at this point. But great to have you all on board. We're going to hear from the drivers now, so don't go away. It's not over yet. We've got a couple of discussions to have. Let's start off with Jack Humphreys. Let's bring in our race winner, and he'll be coming in to join us in the Event 3 comms box very shortly. We've got Tom Sanderson on the job of roping the drivers into the commentary box. So sit tight, folks. We will be hearing from...
Just warming up my lazo, George. That's the car.
That's what I like to hear, mate.
Well, here we go.
Here he is. Jack Humphreys joins us.
Brought in the winner.
Yeah, he joins us in the commentary box. Jack Humphreys, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
What a sensational race. A brilliant effort from yourself. I guess you'll be a little bit disappointed that you couldn't get the all-important pole position.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Quali was a bit... Q1, Q2 went well. Q3, I just was overthinking it and just was too cautious on the lap. So, yeah.
I mean, obviously, it's not easy when it comes to quali. We talk about the tension. I know Tom alluded to it when we were, of course, going through the process. I mean, obviously, you didn't have the easiest of runs at Silverstone at the very start. Obviously, in Event 1, you came to Austin, Texas, took the victory. Was that a turning point, do you think? Did that give you the confidence to go then one step further here again at Event 3 and take the victory?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Coda definitely helped winning by that gap in Coda, and yeah, just really boosted my confidence for this race. And I'm feeling good. Was feeling good on this game, and I knew I could definitely have the pace to win, especially from other leagues, from my pace in Europe and stuff. So I definitely knew I had the chance. But geez, Luke was just he was so quick on that last stint. But I was surprised I kept with him on that first stint on those hard tires.
It was impressive, Tom. I'm gonna hand over to Tom because I don't want to ask all the questions. I'm gonna let Tom throw in as well. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, hello,
Good
old friend. Well done.
Howdy.
Yeah, as you're saying, amazing to keep with Luke Rochford, who was electric in those first 10 laps, using your resources very effectively to stay with him there. And, well, I think, in my mind, that's why you come out with the victory at the end of the day. So, incredible, mate. How did you manage to do that?
I don't really know. I had Miller in the party of me engineering me, and he was as shocked as me with my pace on the hards. It was definitely. I was so surprised with the pace on the hards. I never had pace like that before. But yeah, it was very. I don't know how I did it. I actually just don't know.
Well,
Just did it.
yeah, I mean,
the skill, George.
he has plenty of skills, doesn't he, Tom? Absolute artist at work. I mean, obviously, looking ahead now, we're moving ahead, Jack, to a brand new era, new game. What are your goals? What are your challenges that you're setting in place? Where do you see yourself going on a brand new platform?
Well, yeah, my challenge is definitely stay at the top in this region. Obviously, got the time trial event for the exhibition coming soon, so that'll be a good couple of days of sweating. Well, and then yeah, obviously, yeah, stay on top in our region, and then obviously go to PSG on WO and get in the highest tier possible, and try and get hopefully try and get into that F1 tier. Maybe it's a big stretch, but it's possible.
It is absolutely possible. Certainly with your pace, my friend, I'm sure you can achieve it. But congratulations, Jack, on an absolute masterclass year today. You are a two-time race winner in this series. Fantastic result, and best of luck going forward.
Thank you, and I just also want to say, Ryan didn't race. Just hope he feels better. It was unfortunate he couldn't race because it would have been a very interesting battle with him. So I hope he feels better and can't wait to race him again.
It's very nice words to hear as well. I'm sure Ryan's watching on. And I'm sure we'll be looking forward to tussling with you again on track, but no doubt at all. But yeah, fantastic job, Jack. And we look forward to seeing you back on track, hopefully with Ryan as well in the near future.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We've brought in everyone else as well. I'll tell you what, Luke Rochford up next. Luke, a tremendous effort from yourself. You took pole position in great style. You must have been thrilled with that.
Yeah, I was really stoked with the pole position, actually. I was hoping kind of top three. I've put in a lot of practice since the evaluation event last Wednesday to give myself the best chance. So, yeah, I was stoked with the quali.
Yeah, I mean the quali was impressive. I mean, obviously, it didn't quite work out during the race at all, though, did it? I mean, there were moments, though, you looked to reclaw in the gap. It got to a point where it looked like you were going to bring him back down. The move to the hard tyres looked like it might have paid off in the final 5 laps as the mediums started to deteriorate. We saw some of the mediums, I think, around 42, 43% towards the end. Did you think that you might have been able to pull off something at the very end? Were you trying to break out of that 2-second gap?
Yeah, that was the plan sort of thing. So from the start, starting on the mediums, I thought I'd be able to pull out of that DRS range, but I think pulling him around for 14 laps was probably the biggest issue I had all race. I was trying so hard to break the
You're almost
the
helping
DRS
him out as such at that point.
Yeah, I was just tagging him along like a trailer for 15 laps, and that affected the whole race, I think. But towards the end of the last 6 laps, I knew the crossover was going to be about lap 30. But yeah, I was just pushing so hard on the hards, and I just lost so much grip, and I was running low wing, so through the middle I just had nothing on him. No, he's done really well to keep the gap.
Over to you, Tom. You got a question?
Yeah, well, great to hear from you, Luke. Very well done this evening. Probably the surprise of the night in terms of me. I didn't know really what to expect from you going, and it's just a pleasure to see you really throw down against who is arguably the best in the scene at the moment, Jack Humphries.
Yeah, he's definitely fast. I put in a hell of a lot of practice, something like over 1,000 laps over the last week, making sure that I could keep it up the front, but Jack's pace is just next level from me. So I guess I'll put in another 1,000 laps and see how I go next time.
Well, I tell
You
you,
might need 1001 to get him next time.
maybe 2,000 is what you need.
Yeah, maybe. I'll try.
Great stuff. No, I mean, honestly, great performance, though, Luke. Absolutely splendid pole position as well. Great effort, great podium, great P2. What are your goals for the new game cycle?
Look, I got it yesterday. I turned some laps on it. Top 10 in the world at the moment at Brazil. So, but no one's jumped on the game yet, so that might change.
Top 10 out of 10 in the world.
Thing. Yeah, that's right. No, I'll continue race with RaceSpec this coming season for F1 23. And looking forward to it, and hopefully these OFIs continue, and we keep having great commentators like you guys, and it'll keep growing and getting better.
That's very kind of you. We, of course, wish you all the very best. Congratulations on a great outing tonight, and we'll see you on F1 23, I'm sure.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Thanks, George.
Thank you, Luke. Onwards and upwards, we got Potsy with us as well in the commentary box. Potsy, welcome. I must say, a very well-measured drive from yourself. Eventually, actually taking the P3 on track towards the end too. Obviously, you must have felt a little bit more at ease though when you saw 6 seconds of time penalties, I think, on the car ahead.
Yeah, definitely. The penalties were a good thing, so it just let me run my own race pretty much. But yeah, just got caught up in an incident on lap 1, but overall pretty happy with the race.
Yeah, I mean, you have a lot to be happy about. I think obviously at the very start it got very contentious around the centre S's, a couple of mistakes here, left, right and centre. How tough was it to negotiate your way around traffic such as that, and was there a lot of management involved in order to cultivate the result today?
Yeah, it was pretty tough to get through the traffic actually. Had one of the Ferraris, I think, spin in front of me on lap 1. Almost got damaged from that, and then basically from there it was just managing the whole race. Actually, almost ran out of fuel near the end, had to fuel save the last few laps.
Oh, well, I'm going to hand you over to my partner in crime, Tom, as well. He's going to ask you a question now as well.
G'day, Potsy. Well done this evening. I wouldn't say cruisy, but it worked pretty well for you. Just the gaps opened up in the second half of the race. You could do your own thing, and with that penalty for Ford ahead, just that little bit of motivation to push on before he was sideways on lap 36.
I already forgot the question, sorry.
Oh, well done, mate. Just,
Oh, cheers.
Was there a specific plan for you going into tonight, or after you started where you did? Obviously you went for the hard tyre. Obviously the plan was to push on in the second half of the race, but yeah.
Yeah, no real plan
Did it
really.
work how you expected?
Almost better than I expected, because I was pretty disappointed with my starting position, to be honest. Thought I had a few more tenths in the lap, made a few mistakes, but yeah, couldn't have gone much better, I think, than what it did, especially with the penalties in front.
No, it certainly went extremely well. I think it went extremely well for him, I think, Tom. I think off the back, I think obviously towards the end, managing to make that crucial overtake and doing it on track as well towards the end obviously validates that P3. I mean, just looking ahead now, Potsy, in terms of your own race and looking ahead, what's the plan? What's the mission? I know I asked the two other guys the same question, but I think it's prudent considering F1 23 is out now. What's the mission?
I'm not really sure, to be honest, yet. I haven't really decided what I'm going to do. I've been enjoying the new game, but don't feel like I'm the quickest on it, so I guess I have to put some practice in and see where we end up and go from there, I guess.
Well, I can tell you one thing. You've won Driver of the Day. The public vote has named you Driver of the Day, so you are confirmed with 34.8% of the vote. Potsy is your Driver of the Day, folks. Congratulations, Potsy.
That's very nice. F1 community is very nice to me.
It's great
I'd
to have.
Like to thank mate for voting 20 times for Potsy.
I'm sure they all probably did.
Oh, brilliant. No, they all back you 100%, mate. But congratulations on a great P3, great podium, and we'll wish you all the best for the future.
All right, cheers. Thanks, guys.
Nice one. Thank you, Potsy. And I tell you what, we're going to bring Slammer in as well, because I want to speak to this guy, because it's obviously been a sensational run here in Event 3. They've done an incredible job to put together an impeccable event. And I must say, yourself, Tom, and Slammer have put in such an absolute stellar, competition, obviously. Just talk us through it, Slammer. A great race today. Did it live up to the expectations?
Lived up beyond surpassed. Absolutely killed it all, mate. Tonight it was so good to see these guys. Something I've been longing for a very long time, and to watch the community get behind them. It was just brilliant. It was perfect, and you guys brought it home and brought it to the masses in only the way you guys can. So, a massive thanks to you guys for putting on the show for us, because it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
I mean, just sort. I mean, obviously, thank you ever so much for that. Obviously, Slammer. Obviously, looking ahead, what's the mission that you guys are setting in place? Talk to us about Oceania F1 Invitational, because it's not just your average league. It's about pulling the Oceania communities together. I suppose the regions together, Australia as a whole, raising the profile as such, bringing more attention to it in the world of the F1 game. How do you feel that mission's going?
Well, George, we only started on this journey in December, so it hasn't been that long when the first OFI came along, and it was, it was bringing together the leagues first and foremost, and getting league representation, and just trying to bring the leagues themselves into the forefront of this passion of ours that we love. The thing is, though, I didn't know a lot of these drivers personally. I'm a horrible driver, and Deezy will be able to attest to that. I was in his team last year at OSRL, or Tom, I should call him tonight. But one thing I love doing is bringing the community together, and as this sort of journey's gone on, what I'm sort of starting to see more and more of is a lack of representation of the Oceania region, Australia and New Zealand, across the big leagues, the leagues that you deal with on a daily basis. And I would love some way to get the next, Jano Otmir, Lucas Blakely coming from Australia or New Zealand, and heaven forbid, it could be one of the 20 guys that was sitting on the grid today. And if we've had any small part in getting their ambitions and trying to make their ambitions a reality, at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do. Try and lift the profile of this passion of ours in our region.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, what you're saying is absolutely true, and naturally, these champions all have to come from somewhere, and certainly putting in the work like you do, and obviously everyone behind the scenes at Oceania F1 Invitational, including yourself, Tom. Obviously you all come together, try and make things happen. The leagues that all collectively come together as well in order to deliver great racing. It surely is only a matter of time before this happens. So, I mean, what's the plan for the next game cycle? Because as you already know, F1 23 is now released. What have you got a plan in mind for OFI? Have we got like a future where these events come through as well?
I do have a plan in mind, nothing concrete as yet, so I haven't locked anything in yet. What I'm being very mindful of the fact that it's not about the OFI, it is about the leagues. So I know the leagues are in the process of setting up their first cycle of the new game, so for the second half of this year, and calendars will start coming out, and I just want to make sure that we can include the leagues, the best leagues and the best drivers from those leagues, and to be able to represent them. This tonight was a one-off, and the plan is to continue to have these one-offs. But I think the bread and butter is going to come into the league representation side. So trying to sort of get our calendars all aligned and trying to find, I've heard some great ideas from some of the drivers, things like aligning to the Challenger Series or aligning to the F1 Esports calendar, or, something like that, just something to try and lift the profile, because, where we were in, November, was a whole bunch of leagues doing their own thing, and where we are today, we've got George Bloody Morgan commentating an Australia and New Zealand race with
Great to be here.
right next
I've always
to
wanted to come down.
Mate,
it's great.
You had have asked me this 7 months ago if it was possible. Not a hope in hell, and I'm sadly, I reckon 99.9% of the rest of the community would have thought the same. But if we've just taken one small step to try and lift that profile, then happy days, and I'm hoping I'm still around when we do get our first F1 Esports driver. So yeah, that's the aim, mate. That's the aim. But I don't want to sort of let you go yet. I just want to make a massive shout out to all the league admins that have been involved in setting this up, because it's not just myself that does it. Yes, I'm the organiser and the string puller, but the league admins from the respective leagues, most of which were represented tonight, go out and do the work in the background and provide the ideas. They're the drivers, they're the racers, they're the ones that do what they do. But a special call out for Urban Scythe from RSRL, Plevs, Matt Plevy, who who knocked Reese out in qualifying, may I say, from Racebek, and to Psycho from AFR. Those three guys have been absolutely instrumental behind the scenes and done a lot of the hard yards. So a massive thanks to those guys as well. And of course, Tom here, who just does what he does best, and we just love his work. And Tom just being Tom, and we love him. So thank you, Tom.
Thanks. I'll express my gratitude off camera, but yeah, thank you, Steve.
No, honestly,
Jamison.
I mean, just in terms of this, Steve. Obviously, Slammo, just talking to the community. Obviously, we've got lots of viewers here. We did an incredible number tonight. I think in terms of community interest. Have you got a message for those members of the community, the viewers that were watching live here, in terms of tonight for you guys, this morning for me?
Yeah, well, look, the message is first and foremost, thanks for getting on board, guys. We sincerely appreciate it, because we can't lift the profile of this passion of ours without getting bums on seats and eyes watching and trying to get our drivers into the forefront and in the eye of the decision makers, for lack of a better word. If you have any ambitions of being one of those drivers, to be the next Jarno, Lucas, or if you want to be the next George Morgan, for crying out loud, by all means, stick at it, get into it, get involved with the OFI, because we are about trying to enhance the whole sim racing community, not just the drivers. We're talking the commentators, the graphics guys, the Discord managers, everything across the board. So get involved, guys. Join up on the Discord if you want, or get involved in your own leagues and just try and make them better to make the whole region better. That's my only message.
Well, I think we can echo those words as well. I mean, Slammo, I just want to say a big thank you as well for having me as part of this, and obviously a big thank you to everyone watching back at home as well. I mean, Tom, it's been a pleasure sharing the box with you, my friend, as well. I mean, obviously, you've got to allude to yourself as well. Have you got any comments about tonight, and obviously what this means, I think, going forward for Oceania?
Got a few things to say. Probably that, one, it was great to watch 20 of them go at it, and one, it just excites me more for what's to come on F1 23, and I think people are going to be a little bit more rejuvenated and their energy is going to be captured more into the game because it's fresh, it's new, and the next event's going to be even better. Second, $6 camping chair is elite. Would recommend. Make sure you pick yourself up one. That's about £3 over there in UK for you, George. You can get it at your local hardware. And
I've got one. I can confirm. I've got one.
Right, joining me this evening. It's been a pleasure. Yeah, it's been a pleasure sharing the box with you this evening. And we'll have to do it again sometime.
We certainly will. And folks at home, I just want to say from me a big thank you for having me on for this, and thank you for supporting the Oceania F1 Invitational. The OFI have put together such an effort in order to pull this together. All the leagues come in from the world of Oceania. The region has all clubbed together to make F1 gaming certainly at the forefront of what can be only to be described as an absolutely affluent community that we do have as part of this scene. Just want to say a big thank you to all the leagues as well. OSRL, not to mention Aussie Formula League, Racebek Esports, Rush Racing League, Inters Racing League, Rapid Racing League, DRS, Aussie Racing League, Oz F1, Southern X Racing, and the various others that are part of this phenomenal group that we have that reign true here at the Oceania F1 Invitational. It's been a pleasure. Make sure you check out all the socials as well. Stay up to date. Join the Discord. Join the community as well. Links are available. Make sure you check it out as well. We're heading into a brand new era, a brand new game as well. F1 23. It has all begun. You'll see us soon, very soon, folks. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your evening or day, wherever you're from in the world. We'll see you soon. Take care. Goodbye.